Okay, so into this week's street talk then. I'm gonna go and just say straight off the bat, an uninspiring week for me this week. Sorry, if you've been listening to the street talk shorts that we've been putting on YouTube this week, you'll probably get the gist that I'm not gonna be, singing from the rooftops about this week's episodes. But I know some people have been. They just didn't really do it for me this week. I think I had too much expectation for the Amy and Aaron story, which felt like, although it was obviously the A story on Monday, just kind of dropped off a cliff after that. And we got a couple of scenes of Amy kind of looking a bit glum, and Aaron kind of thinking, "Oh, we've got away with it." But I was really, really expecting this to be a full on, huge, huge Amy and Aaron consequences kind of week, and it just wasn't, was it? What did you think about it?
I felt it was quite realistic to how it would be in real life. That's not always necessarily a good thing, but in this case, I think it is.
I yeah, I mean, there's lots of different reactions that there could have been, but it didn't. You're right, it didn't feel unrealistic.
It
I
feels
just think if you're gonna say, right, everybody, here's our big storyline. We're gonna, gonna have people on the loose women. We're gonna put videos on the YouTube channels saying, don't forget everybody, this is what happens. It's CARE. But for it to not be the main story of the week, it was just, yeah, a peculiar decision. I mean, I'm sure it'll pick up sometime, but I think I was ready for that, and instead we got an awful lot of the Daisy and
what were you
Daniel
expecting
storyline.
them to do?
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe when we get up to that story we'll be able to think of a few
I
things.
always
But
thought it was a slow burn, going to be a slow burn thing, which means that that's how it would happen.
yeah, quite possibly. And I have been enjoying the Daisy and Daniel story up until now. I did just feel like it felt like the same thing on repeat this week. Um, there wasn't a whole lot that was super unpredictable. But I guess we'll get to that as well. But there were some great performances across the whole lot. As I was watching this week's shows, it just didn't have me in the palm of its hand
It's
so much this
difficult
week.
because they're trying to do a stalking story, and really, that is just monotonous, continual contact
Yeah, I
from
know.
somebody, and in order to actually demonstrate what it's like, you have to have that.
Have him turning
Just
up
her
again.
all the time, and her continually saying, "Oh, go away! I don't want anything to do with you." Because you just know, if at one point she doesn't say that specifically, explicitly, somebody's going to be on Twitter going, "Oh, well, she's just leading him on now. She didn't tell him to bugger off."
Well, I mean, let's see what we say when we get to there. I mean, there was definitely some high points of it, but
Right, should we just do what's going on
what's going on? We'll start off with that storyline, the look who's stalking storyline, colon, just in case.
Yeah,
Because we did
just
have
in
Justin
case.
up in court today. So yeah, we'll start off with that one. Then we'll do the consent storyline, the explicit consent warning. Oh, I thought another storyline title for that for this week. Then we'll move on to the what a slapper storyline. I've also got a subtitle for this one, which I haven't told you this one yet. Marco YOLO. Yeah, thank you very much. Because I just didn't enjoy that. I have to say. Sorry, I'm just gonna save all
All
my
right,
moaning
cool.
till
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
We'll
No.
get it out of the way.
All right.
Jackson's back. That's
Is that a play on Jackson 5 or something?
I don't know what that's about. I did actually, for those people who enjoyed our Chat GPT thing this week, I tried it out to see if it could come up with a decent storyline title
Oh, yeah,
this
you
week.
did,
So
didn't you?
I typed into Chat GPT today. Write me a story. No, write me a title for a story about a girl called Faye who gave birth to a child called Miley, but gave her up, and now she's got a chance to reconnect with her, but she's not interested. And it came up with a few, didn't it? Like Faye Tell Reunion, and I can't remember what
Do you think
much
your job's
else. But
safe?
maybe, but I'm not going to say that I'm not going back to that if I can't think of a storyline title again. But anyway, Jackson's back today. I'm thinking it kind of sounds a bit like the Backstreet's back, doesn't it? But anyway, and then we got a tiny bit of the LS Steve storyline, tiny bit of Stephen Reed this week, and maybe that's the reason why some people particularly like this week that he didn't feature heavily, and maybe that's something that was a bit of a disappointment for us. I don't know. What would you rather do? Do you want to start off with a stalking story, or do you want to do the Amy and
What
Aaron
would you
one?
prefer?
I have no preference this week.
I'll start then.
You do your starting. So Monday, Daisy and Daniel, what they're getting up to?
Daniel's trying to convince Daisy to make an effort with her mum, who's pitched back up again. So Daisy and Christine go to the bistro, and Christine's like, "Oh, I've got this new man. I want you to meet him. I can't wait for you to meet Jay." And then she goes to the bar to get a drink, and Justin walks in, and he is Jay.
That was a bit of a. When we were watching that scene, we did do a bit of a double take in that. That was
what the hell?
Not something I was expecting.
It was over very fast.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
when
a bit confused.
No, when he turned up on her arm, well, no, he didn't turn up on her. When he turned up and like, "Oh, I'm Christine's new man," you were like, "Oh, she's going to bring him as a +1 for the wedding now," and thought it was going to go down there. But it was literally
Christine was going to be like, "You know how hard it is to get a man at my age who's as young and good looking as him or whatever," but she didn't.
Well,
Christine strikes me as the sort of woman who would pick their new man over their family.
Well, it looked like it was going that way at first, didn't it?
Well, Daisy tells Christine who this guy is, and Christine's shocked, and she's like, "Well, maybe you're just overreacting. This doesn't seem."
He seems like he seems like a nice. She's been saying, hasn't she?
Like, he just sent you chocolates. What are you moaning about?
Yeah, this is what she's been saying since she's been back. Look, you're making a mountain out of a molehill here, Daisy.
And Daisy says that if you tell him anything about me, I'm over. We're over. I'm not talking to you again. So Daisy, Daniel, and Jenny are talking about it in the pub later, and Jenny's not very impressed. Neither is Daisy. But then Christine comes in and says, "I sent Justin packing because he just kept going on about you all the time." So it wasn't because it was weird or suspicious or he's a creep. It was because she wanted to be the centre of attention.
I do wonder whether there's going to be any kind of rekindling of that romance. It feels like, for the shock value of him walking in and saying, "Hello, surprise, it's me."
It felt like a bit of a waste of time.
But if like later on down the line, he's going to get back with her again or something,
that would make more sense.
Maybe then we'll say, well, I guess it makes sense as they had a connection earlier. But otherwise, yeah, odd. I'm going to say
Wednesday. Daisy still can't believe this about what happened, and Jenny says just forget about it. And Daisy's panicking and saying we're going to have to change the date of the wedding now because he knows where it is, he knows when it is. And Daniel says, "Don't worry, I'm sure Christine wouldn't have told him all that stuff." And she says, "He's going to do whatever it takes." She says, "I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this the happiest day of my life."
Yeah, she just said, I'm not going to let him spoil it, and if that means I need to change the date of my wedding, then
I'm gonna do it.
So be it.
Whatever it takes.
Yes.
So she perks up because she's managed to get a cancellation and gets the wedding moved up to the end of March.
Oh, exciting stuff!
Wow! And now
3 weeks away.
Daniel's like, "Oh, I did have a problem before about not being able to get time off work, but now it's fine." He says, "Whatever. If it makes you happy, fine. I'll just pretend I'm sick."
Just pretend I'm on strike.
Then the wedding dress lady comes round, and Daisy's all excited because she's supposed to be having a fitting, but the woman says, "Oh, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to pull out of the deal because..." When did this happen?
What? Just after Daisy slapped Justin last week, Justin's been putting it about everywhere.
When did that happen again?
The slap?
Yes.
That was last week, I think.
What happened?
They were outside the tram station and he was there and she slapped him around the face.
Is that when George saw them?
Yeah.
Okay. That was years ago, Michael.
Maybe it wasn't last week. Maybe it was the week before.
That was years ago.
Anyway, he started spreading the word that Daisy is not to be endorsed.
Well, yeah, she says, "Look, we've had this phone call from Justin who says, is this why Christine and Justin went out together so that he could get a pumper for information about all this?" Because it doesn't... It feels like he wouldn't have known these details. Possibly. Unless Daisy's been going on about it. I mean, she did go to the
Yeah, I mean, Daisy's
She
not
went to
being...
the fair
yeah,
and-
she's
and
not backwards about
Justin
coming forwards
saw-
about all who our sponsors are.
Justin saw which kiosk she was at trying a dress on, so he
Yeah.
might know from that. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
She's
I'm not
doing
sure.
all our hashtag ads on SendPX at the moment.
Oh, I love them. She's my favourite. I have a notification every time she does anything. It's fantastic. Anyway, she said, wedding dress lady says, we had this call. Justin says you assaulted him. These accusations are going to generate negative publicity for us. We just can't let you. We can't let you be a spokesperson for our brand, which it does make sense. But you know, Daisy was on the back foot and totally shocked her. She couldn't come up with anything like, how dare you? It's International Women's Day this week, and you're siding with a stalker. Sister. She should say, "I'll put you on blast for not backing me up." The trouble is, and this hasn't come up yet, but I'm still waiting for it to. Hasn't come up yet that she accused that DJ of whatever it was she accused him of falsely.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that to do. Wasn't that supposed to be flowers, or did she? Or was it when? Yeah, when she was first getting stalked
at the hotel.
Yeah.
No, when she went to the hotel, she had that kiss with the boy.
I can't remember.
And
I thought that she thought that he was the one that was stalking her at first.
Maybe, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm surprised that you know. What she needs is a PR manager, because she's a nightmare at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
She's not doing a good job, really, is she? She's getting her boyfriend to write Shakespearean quotes about ice sculptures, and also is she having an ice sculpture at her wedding? Otherwise, what was the point of that?
I think the ice sculpture is backed out now.
Probably.
They put her on ice.
So, she says, "What can I do? I want, this is the dress I wanted." And she says, "Well, why don't you buy it?" But it's, what is it, £2,400, not including the fail, which was
somewhat out of their price
a little
range.
bit. Well, I mean, I feel really bad for Daisy, but I can't feel too bad, because she's just blagging everything, and she wouldn't be getting this stuff if she wasn't pretty, was she?
Wouldn't we all do it if we were as gorgeous as Daisy?
Oh yeah, I'm just jealous, because I've been trying to get a free wedding dress for years. Nobody's given me one.
Who are you planning on marrying?
I don't know yet.
I'm going to start putting them out on social media that you beat me up, and then...
No, that's not even funny.
Sorry. She didn't, everybody.
I didn't.
She's lovely.
No.
She gave me a big kiss. That's the kind of smacker that she gave me.
A big smacker on your face. Right, Daniel gets home later, and everyone, and look, they're dropping like flies, aren't they? Everybody's backing out of this deal. Nobody wants to be associated with her. Justin's been smearing her name. And Daniel's like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter what, you don't need all these fancy things. As long as we're both together and we're both happy, and we'll get married, that's all that matters. And she's like, you fool. I don't want that. I want a wedding. I don't care about the marriage. I want a fancy wedding with fancy dress and fancy clothes. And if I can't get that, I don't want to get married at all. Dear, talk about losing sight of the meaning of marriage, isn't it?
Well, it is kind of making me wonder what sort of wedding they'll have at the end of the day.
I'm getting annoyed here, because I'm almost certain that Daniel's going to get his way out of all
I know,
this.
I think he will.
And he's going to be all smug, like, I told you.
We had a brilliant day, and all we needed
was some Shakespearean sonnets and a glass of homemade dandelion wine that my dad bartered for at the allotment. Shut up, Daniel. I want a £2,400 wedding dress, veil not included.
I mean, when Karen MacDonald, going back 20 odd years or so, I know, she wanted the big wedding with Steve, didn't she? And she's like, I want to have a string quartet playing Wonderwall, and I want to have the big country house and everything. And I think she got it.
Yeah.
And I know she was supposed to be a lot more unreasonable. We're supposed to be, I think as viewers, we're supposed to be saying, yeah, Daisy should get what she wants. But back then we were like, Karen, whatever. But I did kind of want to see whether she would do it. And now I'm like saying, oh, I want them to have a big wedding. I don't want it to be another, let's go to Chariot Square, or let's go to the Bistro, or let's go to Victoria Gardens again. That'd be weird though, wouldn't it? If Daniel's like... Can you imagine if Daniel says, oh, let's just get married in Victoria Gardens, and then Daisy overhears someone saying, oh, this is weird. This is where you married Sinead in your pagan ceremony. I don't think that Daisy would be happy with that.
No, she wouldn't.
But now I want a massive grand wedding for Daisy and Daniel. I mean, it's a Barlow. It's Daniel. Love him or hate him, and I know he's not necessarily the most popular character among fans at the moment, but he as a Barlow, he deserves something big. Daisy... it wouldn't feel right to me if she had a tiny ceremony, but it does feel like, the moral of this story is going to be love is all you need.
Don't be so materialistic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what annoys me about the way women are depicted and treated in general, is that we get told that, this is super important. The wedding's the most important day of your life. Look at this pretty wedding dress. Here's the end of the movie where the woman gets married. Here's her wearing a lovely dress. These are all the beautiful bridesmaids. Look at the flowers. Look at the cake. Look at this. Look at that. Look how beautiful she is. Look at her hair. And then when you actually want that,
Bridezilla.
They're like, yo, you're so materialistic. Oh, I can't believe it. You've fallen for the scam, you stupid woman. It does get really tiring being told constantly you must want this, and then when you want it, it's because you're foolish.
I think the thing with Daisy
woman.
is people are maybe thinking that she's wanting too much because she wants it so quickly. Like if you want a massive wedding, pull out all the stops and everything, then fine, just save up for it for a while. You've only been engaged a few months.
For years.
Exactly. How long was it? It was like 4 years between.
Yeah, it was a long
or maybe
time.
even 5 years between our engagement and when we actually
time.
got married. So
and we had to really budget, didn't we?
We did, yeah. When we were saving to get married, we had. What do we have? How much did we spend on shopping a week?
£15 a week on food, which I know some people will spend. I know that it's a lot of money for some people, but for us, that was. I remember.
A bit of a cut.
I remember when we had Safi, and I remember one time we brought the shopping home, and I could only afford a tiny bag of ham, like a tiny bag of like 60p's worth of ham or something, and then Safi sniffed it out, and she grabbed it, and she was biting it, and you thought it was the most hilarious thing that ever happened.
It was.
And you picked her up.
I picked up the ham.
You picked the ham up.
Safi was still attached
and
to it.
And she was just dangling off the end of the ham, and I was just crying. I was like, we can't have any ham now. We can't afford to replace this stupid ham. It's not funny.
Yeah, but
sacrifice and graft. That's what that was.
But Gemma, did you have the wedding of your dreams?
I did. I had the wedding of my dreams.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right answer. Probably could have done without you having that migraine, but apart from that,
it's okay. Yeah, I just feel bad. I want Daisy to have.
I really do because I love Daisy, and
I
know she's very superficial.
Yeah, it's fine. It's some people are, and the thing about Corrie weddings is that they always are the same old thing, and and
especially in recent years, it seems.
For lots of people, you will have a reception at the pub and stuff, but there are just as many people who have a big, massive, expensive tens of thousands of pounds worth of a wedding, and you rarely get to see that on Corrie. I mean, we saw that with Fizz and...
Yeah, I was going to say, Fizz and Phil had their lovely tent last year, didn't they? And then we've had things like, Mike and Linda had their big country house.
Was probably one of the grandest weddings.
Yeah.
But just nice to have...
Gail and Richard had
big show
did have
off.
quite a big one.
It's nice, isn't it, to watch?
Roy and Hayley did.
We haven't been able to have a church wedding for years. I don't think Daisy gives two.
No, I don't think so.
About that.
I think Daniel would burst into flames if he stepped inside of a church. To be honest, I think the last church wedding we had was Michelle and Robert, but I don't know when the last actual marriage that took place without the bridesmaid reading out the groom's adulterous text. Whatever. But yeah, I'm not necessarily going for a church wedding. I don't think that's suitable for them as much as I'd like to see another one on Coronation Street again.
I just like the aesthetic.
Give Billy something to do. Yeah, me too. But I don't want it. I don't want them to say. I don't want it to be like, is it bistro? Is it Chariot Square? And you're just going back and forth between them. I guess we'll find out in 3 weeks. Suppose if we're looking at if we happen
what
to
do you think's going to happen? I don't know. Anyway, no, we don't know, do we? We got let's get going.
Sorry, yeah,
we know who knows what will happen here. Daisy tells Daniel, "Oh, well, you should be happy because you've always wanted a simple wedding. You don't understand me at all." She's not wrong. If they fundamentally disagree on this, are they right for each other, Michael?
I think that's the thing. I think that in many ways they are, in many ways they aren't. I mean, when they first got together a couple of years ago, I was aghast at the thought that Daniel and Daisy would get together. It was a total chalk and cheese thing, but I've definitely come
Can
to
I-
appreciate them a whole lot more. And I think, honestly, they could have some solid foundations here for a decent soap couple. And
Yeah, I really do
unlike
think so.
lots of other Coronation Street couples, they've actually put the
They've
effort
got
in
charisma.
to give them, they've got the chemistry
They've got a
together.
base.
Yeah, and they've shown them relationship development scenes.
Yeah,
They've not
yeah.
just put them together and shoved them in the cupboard for 6 months.
And their drama's about their relationship in an interesting way.
Yeah, the problem is that they have fallen into a bit of the trap recently of, oh, let's split them up. Oh, maybe we won't get married. Oh, I'm never gonna talk to you
hang
again. But no, I know, but yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they are going to split up over this, and I hope that they can.
We'll get to the end of the week, and I'll tell
give
you what
them
happens.
some time.
I'll tell you
Go
what
on
happens.
then. You tell me. If I forgot.
I was going to say something.
It's gone. Well, you have to just say what happened next. What happened next?
Well, he wants a simple wedding.
He does, yeah.
Oh no, it was right in the front of my head.
Maybe it'll come back to you. We can't have all this dead air though. Do you
know, all right.
Do you want me to take over the synopsis where you have a jolly good think?
No.
Okay.
Daisy tells Daniel, you don't care, etc. She goes back home and she gets a bit of sympathy off Ken, and then he goes off to see Audrey. Justin comes to the door though, and while Daisy is alone, and he's banging on the door, and she won't answer it, and he's like looking through the letterbox going, oh, I just want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, and she's trying to ring Daniel, but he doesn't pick up the phone, and then he leaves. So Daisy's like crying, and she sits down because she's still in shock here. She's crying, but then who turns up? He's come around the back. It's Justin. And he says, I was worried about you, so I tried the back door. So she tries to grab her phone so that she can ring for the police or something, but he snatches it first and says, I'm confused, I thought you'd be pleased to see me. And he goes on about, oh, Daniel's not right for you, you know it, you got to accept us together, I know that you love me, I've done everything for you, let's talk about what kind of wedding that we're gonna have. And she's like, no, well, she's stuck here with this man. She's already bolted the door, so she can't run for the door to open it, because by the time she got there, he'd catch up to her. She wouldn't be fast enough to get out.
How did Daniel get in if she bolted the door? Shh, don't ask.
Don't ask questions. So she has to sit
slithered
there
in through the letterbox like a snake.
She has to sit there and placate this scary man and agree with everything. And she's terrified. And as soon as she her eyes wander away from him, or she doesn't look immediately excited about all this crap he's spouting, he starts getting angry with her. So she's got to kind of just sit and listen to him. And then we get to see Daniel and Ken. They're coming home and they're going towards the pub, and Daniel's telling Ken about being worried about Daisy, being stressed out, he can't do right for doing wrong in her eyes. And Ken's like, why don't you listen to her and see things from her point of view? It's like, Ken, if only you could have tried that on any of the birds you've ever been out with. Daniel goes home instead of going to the pub like Ken asked him. He walks in and he finds Daisy with Justin, immediately orders him out. Daisy's crying in Daniel's arms. Daniel scarpers. And
no, Justin scarpers.
Daniel's like, this is too much for me, I'm leaving. He says, Justin's left. He's gone too far now. We're going to have to call the police. So they do call the police, and Craig turns up. And this drove me nuts.
Sorry.
This is like what happened when somebody drove into my car in the car park and just drove off. The police are like, oh no, there are certain places where crimes don't exist. And certain things that aren't crimes at all, even though they really should be, like trespassing. Apparently, if you don't break into someone's house, you can just wander around, and the police can just go, "Don't do that again." With
the crime rate, the way it is in Weatherfield, they probably have had to up the barrier for what counts as a crime that's worth investigating.
Did he murder you?
We've had serial killers living on here. A little bit of stalking. Sorry, that doesn't quite cut it.
No, it doesn't count.
No.
Anyway, he's like, it is trespassing.
It's not exactly a missing crutch now, is it, Daisy? Come on.
Craig's very sympathetic and apologetic, but he's like, I literally am useless in this scenario, and everyone says to me, no, thank you.
I'm like a bit gutted about the fact that Jess hasn't turned up, because it looked like Daisy was really turning a corner with her, and I think that maybe if Jess had been the one that came out, things might have gone a little bit differently.
But you
for
can't
her.
change the law. It's not Craig's fault. The law is ridiculous.
No, but at least Jess would have maybe seemed a little bit more sympathetic, and I think Craig was probably written. I don't know. He just came across as saying, "Can't do anything. Sorry." Well,
Yeah, I know.
sorry, not sorry. Anyway, I've got to go home for my tea now.
I've got to do some
Mum's
actual-
made me some fish fingers.
I've got sort of some actual crimes instead of just all this.
Like, but yeah, I think Jess would.
Nonsense.
I think we could have had a nicer scene.
It would have been nice
if
to
it
have
been
had
Officer Jess there.
a police officer representing, you know, are really frustrated that I can't help you here. And honestly, all the police would probably, all Jess would be able to say to her is lock your door. And again, that just, yes, we all know that.
Well, Craig,
but it feels the same as saying, oh, you shouldn't wear short
yeah,
skirts.
I mean, Craig did say to Daisy,
if you don't want to be attacked.
He said to her, well, so did he break in through the back door? And she was like, oh, no, the back door was unlocked. And he kind of very heavily implied, it was almost victim blaming at this point, I'm going to say.
But, you know,
like,
this is where...
if you're going to go around with your door closed and not locked, then you're just inviting people to come in and nick your stereo.
That's really frustrating. You should be able to leave your door unlocked.
Yes.
I know, but again, people will say, well, you know... There's a level of responsibility you take on yourself.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I'm saying,
silly
yeah,
law.
but look, yeah, it is a stupid law. But this is the same thing as people would say to women. Like, I want to go jogging at night. I can't because I might get murdered. And if I did get murdered, everyone would be like, well, she shouldn't have been out jogging at night, should she? It's the same thing.
What if, like, you lock your doors, you lock your gate,
yeah,
and then a parachutist
comes through the
floats
loft window.
No, I'm just saying. No, just goes into your garden. It's like, well, you know, if you're not going to put if you're going to have an open garden exposed to the elements, then people have every right to parachute in and steal your garden gnomes.
Yeah, what happens then? Because the law seems to be if you break something. Or you the thing is,
it is breaking and entering.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, though, what barrier do you need? Is it really the lock? Obviously, doesn't stop burglars from getting in, does it?
No. Well, not very much.
But you know, you're not supposed to go in there.
Yes.
So why?
And I guess this is the frustration that Daisy's feeling, and we're supposed to be feeling it for her. But I'm watching it going, is that really what would happen?
Yeah, it is.
That's really,
I know, it's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he leaves and Daniel says...
I need somebody to come and just try and walk into our house just so I can see that this is actually true.
No, I don't want
if anyone wants to volunteer to...
No, shut up, please, for goodness sake.
Don't.
Stupid man. For goodness sake, Michael. Daniel says, look, maybe we can't get him on for doing a crime, but it's still going to look bad for him in court tomorrow when we tell the magistrate that he did this. Later on, Daisy tells Amy, also, this annoys me, the laissez-faire attitude of Daniel and Daisy to tell all the people that live in the house with them, oh, by the way, someone just broke into the house who's a stalker of mine, but I'm not going to tell you that because I'm worried because you live there. I'm going to tell you that because I'm moaning about myself.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be like, oh my God, guys, keep your eyes open. Make sure you lock the back door because this guy's a lunatic.
Yeah.
So,
she tells Amy because it kind of ties in with what she's going through, and basically Amy at this point is thinking, do I report Aaron to the police?
Well, the police aren't going to do anything to help you.
Police don't do anything to help anyone around these parts, it seems.
So, in the pub, Peter tells Daniel, I like this. He's like he's not his uncle, is he? Daniel's his uncle.
Yeah.
But let's pretend it's Uncle Peter. And he's just being a useless uncle going, yeah, we should beat him up, I think.
Yeah, you just need to,
so they
old school justice.
So they
how we used to do it in the Navy.
Peter and Daniel
People came uninvited into our submarine. Tell you.
Smack them on the chops.
Yeah.
Peter and Daniel are having chips, and they see Justin loitering around outside the pub. Now, this is dangerous. I was scared for them because last time Justin saw someone with chips, he knocked it on the ground. They took their life in their hands here. Daniel's like, oi, do one. Daisy's only been nice to you in the hospital one time because your mum had cancer, And he's like pushing him around and stuff. And Justin says, well, maybe Daisy would be better off having cancer than being with you. And Daniel's like, my wife died of cancer. Doof. Punches him, pushes him against the wall. And Peter's like, oh, calm down. That's enough. Didn't see nothing. Let's leave. And Justin's there like being an annoying creep.
He's being a bit of an Alia at the end, isn't he? Going,
no. Well, I mean, talk about the juxtaposition here between him when he was menacing Daisy when she was in the dark in the night and he was the only one around. He's a big hard man, and now he's alone with two blokes. Yeah. Suddenly he's crying like a big like a big flower.
A big flower. Friday.
Daisy's upset in the morning.
Speaking of flowers,
she knows that Daniel says he said to Justin, get lost, so maybe it's done some good. She hasn't got any messages. The back of the pub, Adam tells Daisy that she should tell Dee Dee about what Daniel said about confronting Justin.
Yeah, because today's the day of, I still, after all this time doing the podcast, can't remember.
It's a non-criminal
Is it
proceeding.
A court, it's not a trial, hearing? No, it's a thing, isn't it?
If you're trying to learn about the criminal justice system of the UK by watching Coronation Street, you're already onto a bad...
It's a magistrate's thing where they decide whether they're allowed to legally tell Justin stay away from Daisy.
Yes,
and Daisy's got Dee Dee as a
yes.
legal person, and Daniel's there with Adam.
Yeah, and the magistrate says you. Oh no, we haven't got that far anyway.
No, I'm just saying that this is what's happening.
Okay,
today.
Peter with Daniel in number 1, and Daniel tells him, don't tell Daisy that we beat Justin up. And then Adam walks in and he's like, oh no, you've told me now, you've made a big mistake, you should never have touched him, I've got to go tell Daisy. So she's prepared, and Daniel's like, don't do it, no. So he doesn't in the end. This is just like what Imran was like that time. Oh, I've overheard you saying about a crime and now I have to do something about it. No, you don't, do you?
The Faye and Ted thing.
Emma,
yeah.
No, you don't, you liar. You didn't do anything about that. So, where am I?
This is going to court.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know where I am.
You're right here, darling.
Daisy, so, yeah. Daniel, Daisy, Adam, Dee Dee, they're all in court.
No,
Justin hasn't turned up, and they're like, yes, I can say what I want now. And the magistrate does say, just so you know, because this isn't really a crime, you really have to have lots of evidence for this. Which seems wrong. It should be like the other way around, shouldn't it? It should be like, for a crime, you should have lots of evidence, but for this, it's just nonsense, isn't it? It doesn't really count. It's just a magistrate's court. So, Daisy goes up and she reads a statement, and I honestly didn't think this was very compelling. It was very realistic, and she said everything, but it wasn't like one of these heart-wrenching, face scratching.
We've got the most
weeping.
recent example of Alia's personal victim statements is that what it's called?
Yeah,
to compare it to.
No, victim personal statement.
Victim personal statement. That's right. And that certainly did seem to have a bit more gravitas behind it.
It just felt like she was saying that she was scared and stuff, but I feel as though I kind of agree with the magistrate. Like, yeah, he's probably a bit annoying. I didn't get that. I thought she actually did quite a good job. I think that Alia's was a bit more. She did a good job, and if the law was different, then she should have been able to get this order. I don't understand why this got such a high bar.
No,
it feels odd to me.
Yeah, it seems like an insurmountable. How on earth? Well, this is what they've been saying all the way through.
He has to have grabbed her and gone, I'm going to kill you and stab you.
Yeah, there's got to be
He's literally not said anything like that to her. It just feels to me like these laws were written by a bunch of people that have never had to deal with any of this before in their lives and can't comprehend how horrible it must be. So she finishes and Justin comes in and he's got a bloody neck brace on. Of course he does. Daisy looks daggers at him.
Yeah, well, he's making out that Daniel's attack on him was a lot worse than that actually was. I mean, it was fairly physical. He did rough him up quite a bit, didn't he? But probably not enough to make him require that.
Daniel keeps giving everybody ammunition to use against Daisy. He's such a bloody lumpy idiot. So it's Justin's time to speak, and he's like, "Oh, this is just a big misunderstanding. It's just coincidental. I didn't really mean to like be around her. She, I just keep bumping into her and stuff. And I was worried. I went into her house because I was worried about her. Not a crime, is it? No, technically it's not.
So
And,
how
and
can he
also
expect,
Daniel beat me up.
How can he expect the court to believe that he was just coincidentally bumping into her when there's reams and reams of text messages of him?
They didn't address that, which is odd.
They didn't address that, and they didn't address the fact that Daisy slapped him round the chops last week as well.
This is the thing. This is the issue that I guess the thing. Do we want to make it a crime to message somebody?
Well,
repeatedly, because listen. It's all to do with how Daisy perceives his actions, isn't it? It's not like when you get stabbed, it's like, I'm going to perceive this in a positive way. It's like, you've actually harmed me physically here. Whereas this crime is a crime of perception, because if she actually liked him, she wouldn't mind. You can't criminalise somebody buying you chocolates and messaging you on Instagram.
No, but she hasn't replied back to him, has she? She's been purposefully not doing it. But to any sane person, sorry, this is clearly harassment. Yeah. Unwanted harassment.
Yeah, I know, but is it criminal? And they say no. They say it hasn't reached the bar. Mm. It's nice to know that you can just walk into someone's house and send them messages, isn't it? Maybe I'll use that on somebody else. So he basically says, I got beaten up by this guy. I'm sorry Daisy's upset, but I'm not a stalker. If anything, I'm the victim here. And they don't bring this up, but he also could have said, I don't mean to always be hanging around Coronation Street, but I'm actually a delivery driver. So no wonder she sees me all the time. In fact, half the time I'm bringing her bloody parcels. Maybe she didn't want to stalk her. She shouldn't be ordering stuff. It's like you saying the postman's stalking me. He always comes to my house every day and shoves things in my letterbox.
And the milkman every day, without fail.
And the bloody binman every week, going through my stuff. Right, Daniel says, this is where Daisy finds out that Daniel is beating him up. And my God, Daniel, for the limp-wristed poet that he pretends to be, he's always getting in trouble for beating someone up, isn't he? Pushing people downstairs.
Him and Chesney as well.
Yeah. So he says,
he's a fairly slight. He's not as gangly as he used to be, is he? I think Rob Mallard's been hitting the gym a little bit.
He is definitely a lean, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a lean greyhound of a man.
But yeah, I think that I think he's got a bit of power behind him now, more so than he used to.
So Daniel tells Daisy, look, I didn't mean to beat him up. I just shoved him against the wall and maybe I did punch him a bit. And she's like, oh, for goodness sake.
Just a little battering. Lightly battered.
The magistrate says...
And it was just in tempura.
The magistrate says, there's insufficient evidence here to reach a firm conclusion on the matter. I understand that you're upset, and it does seem like he's a bit of an aggravating little git, but I can't actually do anything about it. And Daisy's like, oh, what more? She stands up and she says, this guy's dangerous. What else can I do? And the magistrate says, right, Justin, I recommend you don't try to contact her again, but that's as far as I can go.
Yeah.
And I'm
strongly worded recommendation.
I'm a bit worried here about the fact that he says that your boyfriend beat him up, so maybe you should just leave each other alone. Feels a bit like a teacher at the end of play going, just leave each other alone, please.
Yes, you go to different ends of the playground.
Don't talk to each other anymore. If you don't like it,
yeah,
just leave each other alone.
Do you think that there's going to be Daniel having a visit from Officer Craigie or anything?
I'm not sure.
I kind of hope not, because that would
just be annoying, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Again, though, the only person who's committed a crime here is actually Daniel.
Mm. Well, there's Daisy with the slap as well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Did Daisy then get? I can't remember. I've lost track of
the police came round and he dropped the charges.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Justin could have said that too. He could have basically. And don't forget, if you're the magistrate, you're just listening to this. And Daisy didn't say any... Daisy's like saying, oh, he messages me on Instagram. She didn't qualify it. I don't understand why she didn't say, he sent me 100 messages this day, sent me 500 messages on this day, sent me,
Well, no, the courts had all of the logs.
They didn't seem to bother looking at them.
No, they said. She said, you got all my logs, and the magistrate was, yes, we did.
Yeah, but I don't read that nonsense. It's boring.
I think that by this point, she should have had plenty of evidence, but what do I know?
Again, it's not a crime. It's not a crime to. I don't think it can be a crime to message someone on Instagram.
I don't think it is. I think like we looked into this a few weeks ago and found that it's very, very difficult.
And I don't think you can make it a crime. How could you?
Well, I'm sure that some countries do. Just look into what they do and copy and paste.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I just find it's one of these things I just find really hard to get my head around how you can prove it in court, the same as what I said about coercive control. It feels like they've got a better handle on that, don't you think? It feels like the courts have got a much better handle on coercive control and financial abuse and all that kind of stuff.
Well, coercive control's just become illegal in the last few years.
I know, but yeah, exactly. So it feels like it must be because of campaigners.
Well, you would maybe then, it is only a matter of time before stalking does.
Well, maybe this story will help.
Yeah, possibly.
But unfortunately, I think a lot of people are what ifing. Why doesn't she just with Daisy? And unfortunately, there are things where you think to yourself, why don't you just? Well, what
would you do? What's your recommendation? Sit her down on the sofa. Listen, Daisy.
Lock the back door.
Just kick him in the balls.
I don't know what to say to her. Anyway, Dee Dee and Adam.
Stop being so beautiful.
Dee Dee and Adam are like, whoa, just avoid him and don't go on social media. It's like, oh, great, yeah. What a brilliant, fantastic idea that is. This is like the silencing of women in the public sphere, isn't it? It's like saying the same thing to female politicians. Well, just don't be a politician then. Don't be the mayor, Sally. You're going to get abused because of it. Oh, if you don't want to be catcalled, don't walk past a builder's site. In fact, don't walk anywhere at all ever.
Yeah, but if people are posting flaming bags of dog poo through your letterbox, then just screw your letterbox up.
Then you can't get any post. And that stalker postman is going to come around the back to deliver your parcels.
Very true.
Anyway, back at the pub, Daisy's fuming with Daniel because he made her look like a liar in court. And now Justin's out there on the loose and she's not been able to stop him. And she's terrified. She's crying. She's done with this. And she goes into the bar. She's crying. And then bloody Justin's there again. And he's like, oh, sorry, I had to stop the judge from stopping us from being together because we have to be together. And I know you love me. And Daisy says, I don't love you. You're a freak. You're a vile little man. And Daniel's there at this point, and Daisy leaves, and Daniel calls the police. And
police don't come back round again, do they?
The police are like, yeah, whatever. Daniel goes to see Daisy in the back room and says that Justin's left, and the police are going to come around later, and says, I'm really sorry that I didn't tell you about pushing him over, but we're okay, aren't we? She says, we're so far from okay. This nightmare's going to carry on now, and it's all your fault. You're selfish. You always make everything about you. Like when I thought I had cancer, you wouldn't shut up about how you felt about it. Now I'm being stalked. It's all about you again. I would have been safe if it wasn't for you, with your macho heroics, which I think is such a funny thing to say to Daniel. I'm staying at the Rovers tonight. You can leave. And he's like, oh, how long are you staying here for? One night? And she's like, maybe forever. Jenny's going to be surprised. The Barlow men convene at number 1, and Adam's like, you really blew this, Daniel, you stupid idiot. And Daniel says, oh, I need to sort this out. Again, Daniel, just leave it alone. You've tried. Every time you tried to do anything, he's so the ego of this man, everything he touches turns to crap, but he won't stop, will he? Ever, ever, ever.
He knows the right way to solve things in his brain.
Yeah. Exactly. Justin texts Daisy again later, but and Jenny's there saying, why don't you log it and write it down? She says, what's the point? There's no point. Nobody's going to help me. Daniel comes in and he tries to apologise, but she doesn't want to talk to him and she needs some space. And then she says, I don't know if I want to marry you anymore.
Oh no.
Oh God.
What a cliffhanger. Yeah, as I was watching that scene, and sometimes when it gets to like 9 o'clock, I think, oh, I wonder is this going to be the last scene? Is this going to be the last scene? And that one is like, I think I've got an idea about how this one's going to end, and I was right. I'm assuming that they're going to get back together again. Do you think this is the end for Daniel?
They can't. I mean, she hasn't said she wants to break up with him, but she has said maybe I don't want to marry you.
I still would be very, very surprised if we didn't have something, a wedding now in 3 weeks, I suppose.
And it does feel a bit like an empty threat because she just doesn't want to be pretty.
It feels like an end of week cliffhanger style.
I know
empty
what
threat,
I was going to say now.
What?
I say good on Daisy, and I don't know if she's going to bring this up, but if I was Daisy, if I was, just imagine, if you can, I know it would be difficult.
Whoa,
imagine if you can.
This vision of gorgeousness sitting next to me on the sofa.
Imagine if I was as materialistic.
I can't
and
imagine
vain
that in the slightest.
as
No.
Daisy. I would be saying to Daniel, sell your house so we can get married.
Yeah.
We want to get married. I want this. I want that. I want a dress that's $2,500. I want a fancy palace to get married in. I want flowers out my bum. I want a massive cake that's made of rhubarb and custard. Pay for it. Sell your bloody house and let's get this done.
But why would you do that if you thought that you could get it through all your social medias?
You can't get it for free anymore because everyone's dropped her like a sack.
Well, do you think? I don't know whether she's gonna get them back. Like we said, I think it feels like they're gonna go down the simple route.
I need to see Daisy in a beautiful wedding dress, otherwise the whole show is ruined.
Yeah, I don't want Daisy walking down the aisle in a sack.
I don't want her walking down the aisle in that horrible bloody thing she had before.
Oh yeah, do you remember that thing? That was like the two-tone wedding dress there. How much of what happened today at the trial would you say actually was Daniel's fault? They
didn't actually say anything that would lead me to believe that he had a significant impact on the result of that trial, because the magistrate was basically saying there's not enough evidence here.
Exactly. Now, Daisy's really latched onto the fact that as soon as Justin turned up, as soon as it was revealed that Daniel beat him up last night, well, that's what turned the tide. But I think really if there's no evidence, there's no evidence. And I think that she's just, she's confusing that with the fact that she's mad at Daniel for not telling her about, the beating up.
The thing
and
about
I do feel slightly sorry for Daniel. And I know that he is really pompous and he thinks he's always right and everything, but he was just trying to protect and stand up for his lady.
And also, it didn't help that Peter's going, yeah, just beat him up. That's what we used to do. Beat him up, and then he won't come round anymore. I mean, to be honest, it was a gamble. It could have paid off.
Exactly.
Who knows if Justin would have gone, okay, I'm gonna get bopped on the nose every time I come round here, I won't do it anymore.
What would you mean if I defended your honour, if we were in this situation? What would you say if you told? Can you imagine?
Oh, Michael's done a beating up for me.
Exactly.
What do you mean? No, I don't know. I think I can beat people up myself if I have to.
I think you'd think it was hilarious if you found out that I did.
I don't know if I would. It depends on what the consequences were, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. You'd say I've known you for 20 years and you've never defended me that way before. And the one time you do, it's just made things worse.
Yeah.
I wonder how much Justin was kind of asking for it, because it is a bit of a soap cliche, and maybe Justin knows this, that when there's a big event coming up, be it a trial or a wedding or a whatever, or an opening of something, there's always quite often something that happens just before that threatens to put a spanner in the work. Yeah, exactly. Now, did Justin realise, if I can goad this guy into punching me, is that a way that I can stop it? I mean, he clearly I've forgotten the words, so I'm just going to say embiggened his injuries. Exaggerated. Thank you for the. It's a Simpsons word.
Embiggened.
Perfectly
cromulent.
Yes, exactly. It is cromulent for the sake of the court. So he was playing the game, wasn't he? Did he go round Daisy's house? Did he walk round the back of number 1? Did he loiter around the Rovers in the hope of getting somebody to put a chimney on him?
I don't know. It might be a tactic to take Daniel out. Now he knows that Daniel can be riled up like that by getting him put in prison for this, because he doesn't want Daisy to go to prison, but he wouldn't mind if we got Daniel out of the way. Yeah,
and it's also like, he says he's clearly obsessed with Daisy and delusional about her, but there's definitely a bit of slyness in there.
Yeah, he is. When he smiled,
that smirk that he gave, that wasn't the smirk. That wasn't a smile of, oh hooray, we can be together. When the magistrate, yeah, exactly. When the magistrate said no, you can't. Yeah, he was like mwahaha rather than, oh hooray, justice has been served. And what was he thinking about going out with her mum? I still think that was a really weird detour for the story.
It was.
If that has set up something for later down the line, okay, but
okay,
what was going on there? I don't know.
The thing about this story that is always going to be a bit of a task is that it has to be a soap story. It can't be a completely realistic portrayal of a stalker. There has to be twists, and they have to prolong it as well. It can't just go, oh, we're the police, we take you seriously, we're going to tell Justin off, scare him, and he'll never come back again.
Yeah.
There has to be an artificially extended way of making it entertaining and not come to a conclusion too quickly. Like the delivery company going, oh no, sorry, we can't get rid of him just because you said so. So even though she's got all this evidence and she's got a Ring doorbell of him harassing her and stuff, you'd think that she could go, well, if you don't drop him off this round, I'm not asking you to fire him, I'm asking you to drop him off my round, and if you don't, I'm going to go to social media because I've got a massive following and I'm going to tell everybody about this guy and the fact that you won't help me. There are lots of things that she could do, but the other thing to keep remembering is that it's not always that simple, and there are women who are being stalked and they can't just, click their fingers and solve it. Maybe some of these things are artificial and a bit silly, and a bit contrived perhaps, but the story is still about something that actually does happen to people.
Yeah, I know.
And the argument is well, you should make it more realistic because then people will properly understand, and yeah, I guess so, but it's also got to be entertaining.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned the Ring doorbell earlier because we were wondering about that. Was it last week on the podcast? It's not actually a Ring doorbell. No, the video doorbell. Was it last week or the week after we were wondering about that on the podcast? And if I was being stalked by a delivery man, and I probably would use the video doorbell to check that it's not Justin, because that was good that they remembered it for this week.
But okay, yeah, I know people keep saying all this stuff. Oh, she shouldn't answer the door, or oh, she shouldn't post on the internet. But what? So we're just going to tell victims of this? I think it is criminal. Stalking is a crime, but it depends on
what counts as
exactly. This. Are you going to say tell victims of a crime like just never answer your door unless you know who it is? Why should she live in fear forever?
She shouldn't. But she could be sensible.
Yeah, but this is what this is you're going back to your own argument where you were saying about locking your back door and things. You shouldn't have to lock your back door. Somebody would say the same thing to you. Lock your back door and then people won't be able to come in your house.
I just think that if I've got a way of telling who's outside and I'm worried that it might be somebody, I might check that it was somebody before I open the door.
I know, but I have this. I'm at home by myself all day long. I've got a Ring doorbell. Sometimes it doesn't load fast enough for me to be able to get to the door in time. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I guess so.
And sometimes I don't bother looking because why should I have to worry about...
Well, you're not being stalked.
Yeah, but... Okay. She could go to a nunnery and live there. Why doesn't she do that?
Very good point.
Do you see what I'm saying? That I understand, and everybody's going to have their own line. Everyone is going to have their own line about how far it is that you're now responsible for somebody else's actions because you have caused them. Walking around with a massive gold bar in your hand through the worst neighbourhood in your city. Is it your fault if your gold bar gets nicked? Lots of people would say it is a bit, isn't it? If you walk through there with just your engagement ring on, some people would still say it was your fault. But, it starts to become less your fault and more... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Totally.
It's where do you draw the line of your own responsibility to prevent these things from happening to you? But, unfortunately, it turns into victim blaming. And always it feels as though when a woman is a victim of a crime, it's her fault. And there's always somebody saying, oh, she should have done, she should have, she shouldn't have, she shouldn't. It's same apparently with this Amy and Aaron storyline that we're about to talk about. Apparently lots of people were saying that she was leading him on and it was her fault. I couldn't believe
Have
that.
people said that? I've not read anyone.
I've heard
that.
people say that on social media they were saying that.
Okay. So yeah, that bit with the Ring doorbell was. I'm glad that was brought up, and when he disappeared off of the screen, I think you said then
He's going to come
round the back. So when he did come round the back, it's like, oh yeah, that was right. I don't know whether I would have found it a more impactful. Not blaming you or anything if you hadn't said I think this is going to happen, but I get that somebody because my complaint about Wednesday's episode, my main complaint was this feels like it's just on repeat. Justin appears out of nowhere, tells Daisy, "We're meant to be together. You know, you don't mean it when you say this." Blah blah blah. She tells him to go away, and then the police don't believe them. I'm getting a bit sick of it, and I get that you know.
It's a crime. It's the same
entering
thing.
the home. That's your safe place.
Yeah.
So it is taking it a step further, but
it's the same. Okay, this is the same problem that they had with Yasmin and Jeff, though. It's not a story about a thing that happens in a week and then it's done. Yasmin was abused by Jeff for a year.
Yeah, I know, but at least he had a bit of variety to it.
He didn't though.
He fed her a chicken. He put her in a box.
People were always moaning about it and saying, "Oh, it's the same thing over and over again." People said that.
I don't remember.
And these long running storylines are always going to have that problem.
Well, I think it feels like it's maybe turned a corner a little bit now, and if the wedding is 3 weeks away, then
no, it's off, Michael.
It's not going to be.
We're not having a wedding anymore. I don't want one.
I'm gonna be bold and say by the end of Monday's episode, it's probably going to be back on again.
Why does she want to marry such a drippy, wet blanket as Daniel? He's such
very tall. He's very. I don't know.
All right then.
Okay, so fine, and I'm still very much interested in what happens with this story, and it's certainly one of the strongest stories on Coronation Street so far this year. Charlotte Jordan still absolutely amazing. Charlotte Jordan, Charlie Jordan, still being fantastic. And she's great at doing the my whole life's crumbling apart, and it's brilliant. And Rob Marler, everyone, Justin, yes, he's creepy, but it did just feel a little bit like been there, done that, different place.
I don't know who plays him.
And Andrew Steele.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He is brilliant. He's so scary and creepy.
Very, very well cast. But I'm going to say, I think the other reason, and we will move on, I'm still not sure that he posed any real physical threats to Daisy. And I know that I don't know whether we were supposed to think like, you know, is he going to grab her? Is he going to attack her? Is he going to rape her or whatever?
Well, it's the unpredictability, isn't it?
So when he came round there, yes, it was shocking, and yes, he's invading our home. But I wasn't in any way thinking, oh my gosh, I hope Daisy's going to be okay. It just was a matter of time until somebody walked in.
I do know what you're saying. As a woman, I think maybe it felt more scary to me because I would, you know, in that situation be scared, and I can imagine, and I've been in situations where I've been scared. I know you have this too as well, though.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying only women get scared, but I do agree with you to a certain extent. I think the terror is there for people who've been in similar situations, but you know, like you're saying, it's not like he was saying, "Oh, Daisy, if I can't have you, no one can," or I'm gonna. He wasn't like fingers off,
physically pinning her down on the sofa and saying, "No, I just."
He was saying, "I love you," which is kind of creepy. You know,
it was what he was saying was creepy. I just don't think he was. I didn't feel that he was that she was in any physical danger. Not that physical danger is the only. You know, if he's not got a knife to her throat, he's not threatening. I'm not saying that, but
I know what you're saying.
I didn't feel that.
I think for some people it would have been enough, and for other people, like you're saying, you felt like, it is a soap, and people have been, you know, burned alive before, so this is no big deal.
Listener John on the Conversation Street Facebook page was saying that it felt a lot like Alan Bradley and Rita kind of situation, going back to very long time, 30 years or so, and I didn't feel that. I felt that Alan Bradley, not only was he was a physical threat and and mental, and I just thought that when Alan had Rita there, like literally, she was in proper danger, and I just didn't feel it for.
It reminded me, Daisy's reaction reminded me of what we were talking about before when we were saying about how you react to things that scare you, and everyone says it's always fight or flight, and I said it's freeze and fawn, and that's what Daisy was doing. Fawn, trying to placate him.
Okay, anyway.
But just think about, I mean, I know they didn't really do too much heavy-handed stuff. It wasn't a very long scene, but think about how disgusted you'd feel with yourself, knowing, like, and it's not justifiable, but you would feel this way. Like, you shouldn't feel this way, but you'd feel disgusted with yourself that you were placating this man, and so frustrated too that you were powerless, and all you could do was go, oh great, Justin, sounds brilliant, being forced to be in the proximity of this man and fawn, so that because you feel like you're in danger.
Some people are saying she needs to really start recording him. She needs to video him coming in there. She could live stream him. She literally just needs to whip her phone
honestly,
out,
again,
say,
you said, well, what would you do?
Followers.
You say, what would you do? I would use my followers, but I don't understand why they haven't done that with her, and then have her followers say, hang on a minute, this guy, the DJ that you accused of doing it, this could be the same thing.
I think that some might say that, but I think she has got a legion of minions.
Yeah, I know, but Michael, the story, not every person who is stalked has tens of thousands of followers that they can just get to protect them. So the story needs to remove that advantage of Daisy's because otherwise the story could be over, feasibly, by her doing that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. But then that kind of ties into saying, well, it's tantamount to saying change the personality of a character for plot purposes and make your storylines plot driven.
What do you mean?
If you could put any character in any story, then it's a plot driven story rather than a character driven story.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, if you're saying, well, we don't want Daisy's advantage
be
used.
Yeah, no. So I've given you a way that makes sense to the character and the story to take that advantage away, so that you can't just say, oh, why doesn't she just do this? Yeah. Because she does it, and then everybody goes, oh no, I'm going to turn my back on you. Or maybe Justin could do his own video and go, look, this woman's trying to ruin my life.
Yeah, I'd be quite interested to see, because her actual followers have been very quiet. The only person that we've seen, sending her messages recently has been Justin.
This is one of the
If she's got loads of followers, why is nobody mentioning it? Why is nobody supporting it? Saying, "Oh, I feel really bad for you, Daisy."
No, I know, but she's not talking about it on social media. The thing that's sticking out to me is the fact that she's noticing these messages. I mean, we're not like mega popular, but we've got quite a lot of followers, and we miss things all the time. If she's as popular as they're making out, a lot of his stuff would be buried really quickly, and it wouldn't just be ding, oh, it's Justin again, ding, oh, it's Justin again, oh, ding, it's Justin again. It'd be like a million other things.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think she'd be able to have a ding on her phone, because she'd just be dinging all the time.
Speaking of dinging, did you see that when Beth was dinged from Friends Connect today, it used the Apple email notification sound?
What a bunch of clowns.
I know, come on, Corrie. Cheap. Right, anyway, must move on. So
that was a massive long discussion.
Oh no, it was the A story this week.
It was.
And it didn't necessarily go the way I wanted it to, but I'm still looking forward to seeing where it eventually concludes, because there are some great characters here.
Yeah, can you read this while I quickly get a drink, or are you going to get mad at me?
No, I will endeavour to solo podcast this. No, it's okay, I'll be fine. But so as Gemma goes off, I'm going to remind everybody exactly what happened in the Amy storyline, and we were sitting there waiting for Monday night's episode of Coronation Street to start, and the intro sequence was going. I was like saying, Gemma, so arty start or not arty start for Monday's episode, and are they going to go a bit experimental editing for how it all started? Because surely after the way that Friday's episode ended with Amy's knickknacks ending on that bottle, they were going to pick up with there. And I said arty, and they did go arty, because it starts off with Amy waking up she's still clothed, so whatever happened between her and Aaron, it was just whip off the knickers to do it.
Oh my god!
What? So this is what happens when you walk in. But yeah, she's like looking all around. She's looking confused. Here come the blurry editing and everything, and she's there. There's a glass of water that says "drink me" on it. So I don't know. Good job she didn't drink it, because it could have made her big or made her really small if Alice in Wonderland is anything to go by. She's looking confused and a little bit blurry.
Don't eat mushrooms if you don't know where they're from.
So at the garage later, Aaron is massively hungover, not really coping very well with Abby's loud music that she's blasting through the stereo. And then Asher and Nina come over, and Nina is she's working for Seven Water or some, not Seven Water, Evian or whatever, wasn't she? Because she's saying, just drink water. I drink water, I'm fine. This is what we said. Nina is the sensible one in the friends group. She knows how to deal with a hangover.
I say you're supposed to have electrolytes. Have like Lucasade or coconut water, or what's those fizzy things that people like? Those orange ones.
Barocca.
Yeah.
I say just don't drink to begin with.
Well, that's no fun, Grandpa.
Anyway, they say, right, I think they go down the let's try the hair of the dog that bit you route and go back to Speed Dial later. Maybe have Summer come along as well. And Aaron, who is obviously split up with Summer recently, isn't sure that she's going to be interested in that. Then we cut back to Amy again, and Amy's wandering around the flat. She's still looking really confused. She can't remember what happened at the end of the last episode. She's there in a dressing gown. She sees a message from Asher and Nina inviting her to Speed Dial later, and she's just, she's out of it. She's lumbering around. It's literally like a flashback is ready to just leap out and pounce on her at any second, but no, she does not know what went on. So then we see later on the girls are there at Speed Dials. We've got Amy, we've got Asher, we've got Nina, and Amy's like saying, I've just got this feeling that something's not right happened. There's something weighing down on me, but what is it? I don't know. So she decides that she's going to leave. And as she exits Speed Dial, who should come down the stairs but Aaron? She bumps into him, and now, at last, the flashbacks begin. Not quite as entertaining as Stephen Reed's flashbacks from last week, I have to say. There's no Technicolor or, portraits turning into Aaron's picture or anything. But she starts to remember them sitting on the sofa, doing the thumb war. I quite like the flashbacks because some of them were from Amy's point of view, and like the thumb war, for example, you could just see Aaron and his massive thumbs coming at you. And Aaron says, look, I'm sorry that I left without waking you this morning. It looked like you were sleeping. Or I'll tell you what.
Funny how we can tell that now.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't notice last night. He says, I think things maybe went a little bit far between us last night. We really shouldn't have slept together. I do love Summer after all. And this is the first that she's heard of it. She can't remember it. She can remember the lead up to it, but he drops that bomb on her. Oh yeah, we slept together. We probably shouldn't have been. So they're all sitting down together in the booth at the table in Speed Dial later, and Amy is looking like she does not want to be there at all. Aaron's all smiles because he thinks he's got away with it. Amy hasn't said anything at this point. Summer's there being more civil to him, so things are kind of coming up roses for him. He's saying, oh look, I'm sorry for everything that I did last week. Let's give things another go again. Everyone says, oh, we're all friends again. Let's have a photo to remember this glorious day when we all made up friends again. Waitress, come and take one. And I'm wondering whether that photograph is going to come up again somehow. I don't know. Are we going to see that photo? Because Amy clearly did not want to be there.
Everyone's like, hooray! And Amy's like, oh, I'm sad.
Yeah, no, if I was the waitress, I'd be like, love, do you want to be in this or not? Because you're kind of, you're ruining the shot.
I've actually got stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly. Amy's not into this. So Aaron goes up to Amy at the bar later and says, look, things are going great now. We can't have anyone find out about what went on between us. And by anyone, I mean Amy. You're a nice girl and everything. Summer. You're a nice girl and everything, Amy, but I can't risk ruining things with Summer now.
She's such a catch.
Well, exactly, yeah. And
Gosh, you're going out with Summer, say no more.
Amy's like, all I need to know, did you use protection? And he's like, oh, I don't really remember. And she's like, fine, I will deal with this. And she just leaves. She's absolutely disgusted by him. Stomps off to go and get a morning after pill. Summer goes home later to the flat, and she almost catches Amy taking this pill, but Amy's able to hide it quickly. Summer says, what's up, Amy?
I'm so empathetic.
I can tell that you are not
Have
your
you got
usual
diabetes?
vibrant self.
That's the only thing that's wrong with me.
Yeah, have you acquired this is how I was getting a couple of years ago. I'm just saying. And Amy says, no, I'm fine, my head's just banging, I'm still hungover from last night. The topic of Aaron comes up, and Amy's sort of snappy about this. She's on edge. She says, look, I'm sorry, I tried to contact Jacob last week, couldn't get hold of him last night, whenever.
No, well, she's just saying, look, I'm on edge. I got drunk. I tried to get in touch with my ex.
Yeah.
I didn't get hold of him, and now I'm like, oops, that was a bad idea.
And Summer says, look, don't worry, you'll find someone else someday. It's going to be fine. So later on, Aaron and Asher and Nina are around the flat. They're going to watch a film together, and Amy, obviously not in the mood for this, she says, you know what, in fact, I'm going to go and stay at my mum's house for a couple of days. I need to get an essay done.
I'm going to go to the pub and do an essay.
Oh, yeah, she was doing her essay in the pub today, wasn't she? Just so that Aaron could come up to her. It's like when Brian used to do his marking in the cafe, didn't he?
It's like when Daniel does his marking anywhere.
You get a better job doing it at home or maybe at school. Just putting it out there. But anyway,
I can't do anything. I wouldn't be able to do my work in public. Or
no, I couldn't at all.
No, not because I would be disturbed by people, but I think I would disturb them because I've been working from home for like how long?
Many years.
Nearly 20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And I do all kinds of weird stuff. Like I say things out loud in the middle of a sentence. I tap my pen. I sigh really loudly. I make weird noises.
You are a loud sigher.
Yep.
So that I've lost where
I nearly got kicked out of court once for tapping my pen. I didn't even know I was doing it in the press box.
So Amy's gone off to number one later, which leaves Aaron and Nina and Asher there watching the film, and they're talking about Amy, and Aaron just is like wants to change the subject, he this is just as Amy was getting ready to leave, wasn't it? Because she comes out and she leaves there, and he's still trying to kind of put it on her a little bit, on giving her equal blame. He says, look, I hope you're not leaving because of what we did. And she says, no, Aaron, I'm leaving because of what you did.
All the way through this week, Aaron is saying, we did this.
He's trying to deflect the blame. Listen, and the question is, does he think that he's equally blame, or is he just trying to hope that it sticks?
I'm going to cut him a bit of slack here and say that I don't think he realises what he's done.
I don't think so too.
I know you keep saying he's gotten away with it. He thinks he's gotten away with it, but I just don't. I don't think he thinks that he's done anything worse than sleep with a girl when he was trying to.
Well, no, he's got away with Summer not finding out.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I think he thinks, oh dear, I slept with the wrong girl, and maybe we shouldn't. We were both too drunk to really know what we were doing, so it's not really anyone's fault. Yeah,
well, it kind of that all comes out towards the end of the episode because Amy goes to see Tracy. They have a lovely hug. That's quite a nice scene, wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
Tracy being a good
Asher
mum.
leaves Aaron and Summer watching the film, having a bit of a kiss. What's wrong with Amy? Nothing. She's fine, says Aaron.
Distressed about.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, Summer? She's stressed about her essay. Do you remember when you were so stressed about your essay that you passed out about 500 times and cheated?
Yeah, she should have.
She's like, I can't comprehend anyone else has emotions apart from me.
Then this is when I'd forgotten about this happened. Tracy and Amy have that conversation about Rob, didn't they? And Amy's saying, you know, did you do the right thing, getting him arrested, and did he deserve to be punished, and would things have been better if Carla had stayed quiet? So this was going back to
right. So let's remind everybody. Rob was Tracy's
fiance.
Yeah.
Some might say the person that she was most suited to.
He was also Carla's brother.
Yeah.
He killed Tina McIntyre, who was having an affair with Peter behind Carla's back.
Yes.
And then he escaped from prison.
No. This is before he even went to prison, wasn't it? Because
what are they talking about?
This is talking about Tracy and Rob were getting married. Carla finds out that what he did, that he killed Tina, or Tracy says, or something anyway, and then they dob him into the police, and he gets carted off on the wedding day, doesn't he?
Tracy does
Tracy, yeah,
turn him in.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is what this conversation was about. Should he have got away with it? And Tracy's like, no, he deserved to be punished for what he did. So obviously Amy's thinking, well, does Aaron deserve to be published?
He should be published.
Published for what he did. And then Tracy, because for some reason Daisy has asked Amy to be her bridesmaid when they've. Have they ever shared a scene together even? I know they live in the same house and everything, but I thought
it's
it was
pretty awkward.
Odd.
You probably feel compelled to ask her to be a bridesmaid.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, Amy's
looking
like,
at bridesmaid dresses.
Yeah, and saying, I don't want sleazy men looking at me. I don't want to wear these kind of, these revealing outfits. No way. She's like, I need to get out some fresh air.
Tracy's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Amy's like, no, nothing.
Nothing. I just need some fresh air. So this is when we have the confrontation with is this right? I'm lost again.
Well,
sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I'm just trying to get to this last scene of the episode, which was a really good one.
Aaron sees Abby. She's got Alfie, and he tells her that he and Summer are back together again.
Oh yeah. That's right. And then he sees Amy, and
he's gone out for some air.
Yeah, and he says, "Look, Summer's starting to get a bit suspicious. You need to just act a bit more normal. If we pretend that nothing happened between us, it was just a drunken mistake, everything's going to be okay." And she says, "No, but it wasn't. It was more than that. I don't even remember us sleeping together, and you're telling me we did. Does that sound kind of kosher to you? How could I even have consented to that if I don't have any memory of it?" And Aaron says, "Well, look, you can't say you didn't want it. You were kissing me. You must remember that, don't you?" And then he starts getting really desperate, and he's making stuff up, and he's just saying, "Look, you were just as responsible. You wanted it." I think he starts saying, "You were taking my clothes off and everything," which
did she? I don't remember that.
She didn't.
Oh, okay.
She was there lying on her side in the bed, wasn't she?
I know. I think a lot of people are really confused about this, and it feels like Aaron is on the same track here. About the fact that she was conscious and she wanted to kiss him, and maybe she did want to have sex with him, but she was unconscious, and then that's when you start. I don't understand why this is a difficult concept, but it clearly is for some people. Doesn't matter what you wanted to do when you're awake. If you're asleep, that's the end of it. It shouldn't really be. It shouldn't be a question about this. I think
what you said earlier about, cut him some slack. He was very drunk. He thought that she wanted it. He doesn't think that he did anything wrong apart from sleeping with a girl when he's kind of still attached to Summer. But I think this particular scene where he's making up quite how into it she was shows that he is trying to cover his tracks a little bit here, because he's probably very, very ashamed of himself. Yeah, because he's generally a nice guy, isn't he? And this isn't the sort of thing that he thinks that he's got to be capable of. This is the point of this whole
story. And when I say cut him from some slack, I'm talking about let's all be clear here that even though he doesn't think he's done something wrong, he has. And that's the whole point of this story.
Yeah, but I think that he knows that he's done something wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been making up.
Maybe he's remembering it wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe he's scared and feels like he has to lie to cover his tracks, but he still doesn't think he's done anything wrong. I don't know, but that's the whole point of the story. And we said this last week, nice people can do bad things.
It's definitely understandable that he thought that at some point in the evening she was up for a bong.
And she might have been.
Yeah, but
she was asleep.
But when it happened,
it doesn't matter.
Wasn't.
It doesn't matter what you were saying. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a big t-shirt that says, "I love having sex with Aaron." If you're asleep, then it doesn't make any difference. You're asleep. You can't consent if you're asleep. It's that simple. We said last week about the analogy of having a cup of tea. You can't give a cup of tea to somebody who's asleep. So same thing with your penis. Okay? Don't give it to people that are asleep. They don't want it.
No. So that was, I thought, really interesting continuation of the story from Friday, and that was definitely the A story of Monday's episode. Elle Mulvaney, brilliant. I thought James Crave, both of the main players here did a great job. I was fascinated in watching his reaction every time he came on the screen on Monday. I was like, I'm studying what do you think happening? What are you making up here? What are you? But sadly, yeah, it just dropped off a little bit on Wednesday and Friday. So on Wednesday's episode, she ends up heading to the cafe because Steve's nagging about her sleeping on the sofa. He's obviously completely oblivious to the fact, of why she's
probably
cutting
depressed.
herself off for the world. Yeah, she's been violated.
Exactly.
She just wants to hide away in a little cocoon.
You really don't
and
understand.
to have your dad come along and saying, "What are you doing, you lazy article? Get out of bed."
Until you've had something like that happen to you, you cannot understand how it completely changes your relationship with your body, and you feel like everything in the world that was safe has become dangerous, and it just even if you feel like, I don't, you just really, it's just
so the links with Justin breaking his way into, or walking his way into number one for Daisy.
Well, it's a physical.
Closer.
It's a physical thing where she knows that something has happened to her body, and that violation, you can't prepare yourself for how it changes everything about yourself and how you interact with the world until.
Yeah, totally. So the really what happened on Wednesday, to me, I'm saying, was a little bit predictable. And it was basically Summer telling Amy, rubbing it into her face throughout the episode, "Oh, isn't Aaron wonderful? Look at my man, we're back together again. Aaron's the best
She's
guy."
Never got a nice thing to say about anyone until turns out he's a rapist, and suddenly she's like, "Aaron's so nice."
Yeah, because she sets her and Aaron up on a double date with Amy, and well, somebody who doesn't actually turn up from university, and Amy's like, "I don't want that."
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It
was. That's what I'm saying. It was classic, but to me, because I wasn't particularly feeling Wednesday's episode, I was mega tired on Wednesday. Right, yeah. I have to say, but I thought, oh, here we go again. Everybody's saying what a great guy Aaron is, when Amy's just thinking he raped me. So
she hasn't said that yet.
No, she had the word. That's what's been interesting in this. The word rape hasn't been uttered in Coronation Street at all. The consent was once on Monday, but they're slowly.
I want to say something about there are certain trigger words in our society and our culture that are so heinous that the conversation shuts down immediately as soon as you say them. And I'm thinking of various words, but there are two words and they both begin with R. One is racism and one is rape. And I think if you accuse somebody of either of those things and they think they haven't, it gets shut down immediately because they're so awful. To be accused of either of those things are so awful, and they conjure up incredibly violent images of really awful things. But there's definitely a spectrum, and I know that people can get mad about me saying that, but there's definitely a spectrum of violence involved in both of those on one end and another, right? But it's all the same thing. It's all that word it describes the action that has taken place, and it's not jumping out of a bush and holding a knife to somebody's throat and forcing them on the ground. But it's still the same thing. And because your connotation for that word of rape is that one, because of what he did isn't that, he's going to reject that label completely and not want to have a discussion. And I think a lot of people also would be quite reluctant to say that was rape.
Well, I think
and that he is a rapist.
I can't remember whether it was tonight's episode.
Can you see though, the word has got so much stigma that sometimes using that word to describe something, even though it is correct, shuts down the conversation immediately. And you can't talk about it anymore because people just don't want to listen.
You could see on either you could see on I think it was tonight's episode when he says to Amy, those things that you were accusing me of. He didn't want to say the word, but he knew what she was implying when she said, what you did on Monday. So we can't have a discussion. We can't have a discussion about these things, or people make up words that soften the blow a bit, like conscientious
What was the police? What were the police saying about when that guy the policeman was racist, racially profiling? There was a word that they used, like unconscious bias. Yeah, we make up all these kind of softened versions so that we can talk about them. And if somebody said to you, "Oh yeah, you're unconsciously biased against somebody," you'd be like, I don't. Am I? I don't know. It doesn't sound like me. But if someone says you are a racist, you'd be like, "No, I am not. I'm not going to even talk to you about that."
I'm waiting for Amy to say it, because this week, as is probably perfectly natural for what would happen if you're in that situation, she is just kind of hiding herself away, isn't she? But at some point, I think she's gonna start, fighting back and accusing him and saying, "Look, let's not pussyfoot around it."
I think there will be a big scene where she says, "What you did to me was rape."
Yeah. I was expecting it this week, but I guess it's too soon.
And again, we're saying, "Oh, Aaron's a nice guy," and Aaron blah blah blah. I think we need to all acknowledge that nice guys do this. Yes. You're more likely to be attacked and raped by somebody you know.
Nice or not.
And in a place that you think you're safe.
Anyway, that was basically Wednesdays. It was just a lot of Summer saying, "Isn't Aaron wonderful?" And "Amy, you look really sad, but don't worry, me and Aaron have got your back."
My boyfriend's definitely not a rapist. He's the best man in Weatherfield.
Yeah, basically. And then that episode also had the scene where Amy finds out that the police were being a bit useless to Daisy, so she thinks, "Oh, maybe I won't bother reporting Aaron then." So that takes us to today's episode.
I am interested to know if she will ever get the police and what would they do?
I think they will.
Yeah, but what would they do? I don't
know.
Oh,
there's nothing we can do. There's not been a crime committed here.
I'm not very confident about how to talk about this story. Like, some things I feel like, I can definitely say what I think, and I feel like this is the correct
You're
thing.
usually very good at being...
But in this case, I'm like, would telling the police, is that going to benefit the situation? Does Aaron need to be taken to court over that? I don't know.
Well, yes.
I don't know. Does he just need to... I don't know. It feels like he just shouldn't... It feels like he...
Just have a stern finger wagging.
No,
don't do it again.
Yeah, but I agree that he needs... I don't know. Do you see what I mean? It's so confusing. Because he should know. He should know. It shouldn't be like, "Oh, he needs to be educated." Because it feels so obvious to me that you don't...
Intoxicated or not, you are responsible for what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But again, but I'm just gonna say, a lot of people definitely, and I don't know if I'm this. I don't know what I think about this, but a lot of people say that for lots of crimes you shouldn't be put in prison or whatever, because it doesn't help you to not do the crime again. It has no bearing on whether you're going to do the crime again. It's about punishment. I guess the real question is, what does Amy want to do?
Well, from the looks of Friday's episode, she's trying to get Summer to go up to St Andrews to university, isn't she? Because so handily, Summer is now saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to Manchester University so that I can still be in the programme." And Amy says that Amy's kind of subtly trying to get her to get away from him.
Leave the show.
Or is she trying to get Summer to move away so that Aaron will go with her?
No, I think she's trying to get... Do you think that at this stage that Summer... Amy's viewing Aaron as a predator?
I don't think so.
Then why is she worried about getting Summer away? Because she definitely says to Amy... Sorry, she definitely says to Summer, "Don't worry about a boyfriend. Don't plan your university around a boy."
I think predator isn't the right word, but I think she's maybe trying to say to Summer, you don't necessarily know him as well as you think you do. You don't know what he's capable of.
Sounds like Aaron doesn't know himself either.
No, well he thinks of himself wrestling with this all week, isn't he? This is why when he's saying, "Look, that thing you said about me, that's not true," and he goes back and forth throughout the week of thinking, "Oh, I'm brilliant, everything's great, I've got Summer back to me," and then it dawns on him what he did, and he kind of tries to bury it down and go, "You're right, I can't think about that now, I've got Summer back, isn't everything great?"
The point of this story is that it's not clear cut at all, and there's no there's no one right way to think about it, I think.
It's clear cut to the viewers that he raped her.
Oh
though.
no, I know that, but we don't know what he thinks or what he's gonna do. Is he gonna do this again to somebody else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And how awake, how what's the word? In control of himself was he? And this is the point of it,
If he's
though.
done this once and realised, oh my gosh, that was awful, is that experience and the feeling of, I can't believe I've done this, enough to stop him doing it again? Or is this the start of a slippery slope?
Yeah.
I got away with it the first time.
I guess the point is that it is really murky and confusing. But like you said, there is one obvious, clear-cut message about, consent has to be freely given and enthusiastically given, and it has to be, it's not just one and done. It's not just like, yeah, let's do this, and then you can't back out now because it's not fair. It's like you can change your mind at any point, and if you're not physically able to change your mind because you're asleep, then it doesn't count.
So we had, I think there was a scene towards the end of the episode tonight where Aaron sees Amy in the pub, and this is when she's doing her her essay, and he's just saying, don't tell Summer, and I don't think it's necessarily a don't tell Summer because it was a criminal act that I did. He just thinks I'm on a good thing with Summer, I've only just got back with her, this could set us back, this could ruin us.
He doesn't
Please don't spoil it. No, he's basically saying, he's almost kind of saying, no harm done.
Yeah, he doesn't get it at all. He doesn't get it at all.
No.
And it doesn't make it.
Or he's just trying to, he's just in denial about it, and he kind of does.
Well, that's what I meant when I was saying.
But doesn't want to think about it.
That's what I'm saying when I'm saying it's a bit murky. What is he actually thinking? We can tell what Amy's thinking.
Yeah.
Because she's told him what she's thinking.
Yeah, we can't know what he's thinking because he hasn't got a confidant, of course. But
you don't think he would tell anybody.
No, exactly. You wouldn't, would you? So we're having to assume what he's thinking.
Oh goodness me!
But anyway, so I did quite enjoy it. I thought that the whole "isn't Aaron wonderful?" I thought that was a bit cliche. I was just really, really surprised that this storyline didn't get as much development as I thought it would following
I don't know what's
the big announcement of here's a big story.
I really don't know what's going to happen with this character.
Well, at least Amy's not going to get pregnant, and that's something we didn't even discuss in last week's podcast, was it? Because it seems you can't have a one night stand. Not that that's what this was or anything, but you can't sleep with somebody once on Coronation Street without getting pregnant. It seems, but at least Coronation Street have said no, it's not going to be that kind of story.
I mean, it is possible in a very small.
But
amount of times for that to
of course,
not work, but let's not go down that route.
No, I think this is Coronation Street's way of saying no. That's not what's going on.
It's like
here.
Stop making theories about it.
So I'm hoping that we're going to have more of this next week. I don't want it to be left just to quietly disappear off and then come back again in a few weeks. Let's keep the traction going on this, please. Fair enough that the Stalker storyline, the court case was today and everything. They wanted that to be the A storyline, but now it's this storyline really has got to come to the fore next week. Otherwise, it's going to be a real misstep, I think.
It'd be so much easier to talk about this storyline and to discuss the storyline if he was like a moustache twirling villain.
I know.
Who had done it on purpose and had completely, full use of his faculties and was purposefully preying on her.
Yeah.
But this is important because this happens more than, violent stranger danger sort of encounters do. I know, but I hope that people who watch this are going, oh, wow, it's her fault. She shouldn't have led him on. I hope that by the end of it, they have changed their minds because it's so disturbing to me that you could watch what happened and gone, oh,
yeah, it's bizarre. She definitely seemed. I could understand people thinking that she would have been up for it at some point, but by quite a while before the deed happened, she clearly wasn't.
No.
Right. Let's do the next storyline then.
It's gross
the Marco YOLO storyline. So Beth, Kirk, Hope, Sam, Fizz, all the whole shebang.
I want to just give a massive thumbs down to Coronation Street for irresponsible behaviour modelling on this show.
What?
They are absolutely awful. They are letting people get away with terrible, terrible things and acting like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
2 milkshakes and a hot chocolate on Friday for Hope. Can you believe that?
I know.
She better watch out. She's going to end up causing herself some damage with that chocolate overload.
She's all right. She's bagged herself a man now. She can afford to let herself go.
Right, on Monday, Sam and Hope are having a chat at the bus stop and whining about adults not believing them about things such as being slapped. And so Hope says, "I'm going to bunk off school. I'm not going to be."
I'm going to be needed for a storyline during the day, so I need to find another excuse for me not to be at school today. And today's one's just going to be, can't be bothered to go in.
So Tyrone goes around the factory and he's like, I just got reminded that like this time 5 years ago I was shagging around with Gemma and it made me horny. Do you want to come back for a bit of lunchtime delight? And
lunchtime delight.
Then Fizz says, great stuff, and Beth is looking on all jealous.
Yeah, sure. She doesn't like the idea of Fizz being wooed, and she wished that Kirk would be a little bit more.
Well, she's estranged.
Hmm?
Aren't they mad at each other? At this point.
Yes, they are.
So she's jealous of having a man.
Yes.
So Tyrone and Fizz go back, and they're gross and
they're not just having a bit of a
and then
snooze.
Oh no, Hope comes in. She's eating chocolate mousse. That girl, I'll tell you what, has the actress got a clause in her in her contract, just like Brad Pitt seems to, where he has to be eating something all the time he's in.
Tell you what, if I was a rising star like Bella Flanagan, I'd be wanting chocolate in my contract.
I'd have a rider,
as well.
Yeah. And they say, look, you can't just bunk off school and do what you want. And she's like, I don't care. And she's got headphones on, and Hope Fizz tries to take them off, and she's like, "Oh, don't hit me!" and all flinching, and oh dear, obviously still got PTSD.
This is where it comes out, and we don't see the scene, do we, where Fizz and Tyrone realise, wow,
she wasn't
Hope is
lying about being hit. In the pub, Kirk is jealous of Beth being wistful about her ex Marco. So, Fizz and Tyrone march into the factory and confront Beth about what Hope has told them, and Beth admits that she did actually hit her. And so they tell Kirk, oh no, they aren't mad at each other, I can't remember.
Oh no, they're not at this point, are they?
It's so
no,
difficult
you're right.
to remember.
It was after this, no, sorry.
Yeah.
So
they all try to get Beth to explain herself, and she's like, look, Hope was saying mean things about Peanut, and she tried to get her killed. And then Carla comes in and says, no, we're not having a conversation, we're making knickers, get out, shut up, make knickers. So they have to disperse. And so Sean and Beth talk about this later. And Beth says, Hope did deserve a clip around the ear, actually. And she tries to get Kirk to forgive her for lying to him, but he doesn't think he can. And she's like, oh, please let me make it up to you. And he says, I'm going to sleep in Peanut's room tonight. Which I thought was quite funny that Peanut's got his own room. Later on, Kirk joins her in the break area and he wants to make up. But then Beth gets a ding on her phone. And it's a friend connect message from Marco.
Oh no, sorry, I'm completely right. This note is completely in the wrong place.
Wrong.
Ignore that.
That is wrong. No,
that's completely wrong.
He's going to get he's going to sleep in Peanut's room tonight.
Yes.
And then at tea time, Fizz and Tyrone talk to Hope about what's happened, and she's pleased that they believed her at last, but annoyed because she wants them to go to the police. And on Wednesday, she's still annoyed, and Beth's also still annoyed. Well, Kirk's annoyed with her. She's late to work because
they're not talking, are they? It's been a Beth and Kirk fallout.
Sad. She
not quite as compelling as Daniel and Daisy fallout, because, like we said, they've actually built something up with that relationship, and I've never really felt that invested in Beth and Kirk, even though they've been an item for quite a long time. I'm not.
Fizz gets handed this note that
Beth
has written to say sorry to Hope for smacking her in the face.
Really sorry with one out.
She's got all these spelling mistakes in it. She says she's really sorry, and Fizz says okay. She says I just panicked, and I don't think she did panic. I think she just hit her because she hated her.
You don't, just because you're panicking, it doesn't give you any right to hit a child. I don't think that's going to stand up in court, is it?
No, I don't buy that, really. Fizz is like, I understand, but I can't forgive you. After school, Sam tells Hope that he's struggling with a project. He got to make a diorama of a jungle. Like you do. And Hope says, I'll help you.
Yeah, DT project.
In the cafe...
Have you ever made a diorama?
No.
I never
I thought it was an American thing.
That's what I'd say.
Never
literally,
heard
a diorama is what they make in American programs.
The only time I think I only know what a diorama is because of The Simpsons, the Telltale Heart diorama.
Yeah, and then like science fairs and things. It just feels
completely useless and pointless.
Well, I mean, I would say that DT project, you got to make a product that does something.
Who's buying a diorama?
Yeah, I don't know. But what do I know? I'm only a teacher.
Hope.
We've never made one. We make things like cam toys and
What?
What cam toys? Little thing
what,
that you twist and
fans?
turns up and down. No, no, not that sort of type of cam. Thank you very much. And we made photo frames.
I remember we made a stupid like buzzer that told you if you're watered your plants.
Oh yeah, water sensor.
Like
that's a secondary school project though, isn't it?
I don't think I did anything in middle school.
We make catapults. It's great. Lots of things out of wood, but not dioramas.
No.
But
no, and you certainly don't get sent home to make them. I don't think so. In cafe, Beth tells Maria what's been going on, and she's like, "Oh, Kirky's not talking to me." She brings a memory box to the pub and shows him all the bits inside, and starts tearing up. But he's still stony faced. He needs more time.
The memory box was kind of sweet, but I'd prefer it if they'd actually properly raided the archives and found some stuff that we as a viewer might go, oh yeah, remember that? Because there was a lock of his hair from the...
That was a memory.
Yeah, that was
their bigamous wedding.
Yeah, but I think everything else that they brought up had just been made up for that scene. But
so Maria sees Kirk in the street and she's like, hello, brother.
Oh yeah. There was twice in Wednesday's episode where she refers to him as brother or bro or something, because... Like, if you're going to forget that anyone is related on Coronation Street, it's Maria and Kirk.
I keep getting confused and thinking that they were dating. I know.
That's a bit weird.
It's not weird because I don't have a good memory.
Like, I think pretty much every other sibling on the show is like, well, yeah, of course they're siblings, but these two are just so chalk and cheese and they don't have anything to do with each other.
Are you sure that you weren't left by fairies?
I think that, to be unfair, and I know that I'm not Kirk's biggest fan, but when he does serious stuff, some of the best serious stuff he's done has been with Maria. I just don't think he is very good at pulling off, even like with this week's, I'm going to fall out with Beth, I'm going to take the moral high ground here, and I just think it doesn't ring true to me at all. But when he sits down and has some lovely sibling chats, when Maria's been going through some rough times, I think that those two do have quite a good relationship.
The trouble is but
yes, you may forget that they're related.
His sad face looks like his confused face.
He's only got one expression to... No, he's got that, and he's got the hey kind of face, hasn't he? And that's about it. That's his range.
So Fizz comes and says, "Oh, this letter that
that Beth wrote, the sorry letter, yeah.
Maybe we should draw a line under all this, and maybe you should forgive her." And Kirk looks like he's relenting. Back at home, Fizz has been Hope's been presented with this letter, but she's not very impressed about it. And she's like, "This is rubbish." And
she says that it's spelling mistake, doesn't she? Yeah.
And she says, I need to help Sam with his homework. Will you help me?" And she twists him around her little finger and basically gets him to do most of it.
Tyrone, he makes a lovely diorama of a jungle.
For what purpose? Anyway,
just for looking nice.
Kirk finds Beth nursing a drink with a memory box and he starts going through it. But then he finds a letter that's from Marco and he realises it's not a memory box of their relationship, it's just a collection of stuff from all the blokes she shagged.
Yeah.
So he's not impressed with that.
That was funny when Steve came in, because when Beth came into the programme, and I don't know how long Lisa George has been on the Corrie cast now. It's been, how long do you reckon? 7, 8, 9 years?
Oh.
Or has it been even longer than the podcast? I don't remember.
No.
But when she came in, she was an ex-girlfriend of Steve's, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to reconnect with this fit bird that I used to go out with." She was a model, and then unfortunately, when she comes in, he's like, "Oh my gosh, she's really let herself go." But yeah, so that was what that was a reference to. But
Coronation
there was a
Street
scene where Steve comes up to the bar on Wednesday's episode, I think it was, and Kirk's like saying, "Yeah, Steve's probably got a pair of your old wife friends in here." It was quite funny.
He says he doesn't wear wife friends, he wears
yes.
boxer shorts. Sam comes round to number 9 and is shocked to find Hope has made this diorama, and he's like, great. Later on, Beth is going on to Glenda about... This was funny because Beth's going, look, Glenda, I used to have this well-fit man. He was dead gorgeous. He was so handsome he could have been a model, but he moved away. Glenda's like, I don't believe you. She's like, no, he was dead fit. Look, here's his Facebook page. Or Friend Space or Space Mates
Friend
or
Connect.
whatever. And Glenda looks at his Facebook. She's like, yeah, he is proper fit. And it says he's back in Manchester. And she clicks on it and sends him a friend request on Beth's behalf. And she's like, oh no.
See, I wonder whether Marco's going to end up being mega shallow, because it's been, she's not been going out with this guy since she's been on the programme. So, and if Steve didn't recognise her from when he first dated her, then maybe Marco's going to be in for a bit of a surprise.
Maybe it's going to be full circle and Marco's going to be a big lardy...
Well, she has seen more. She has seen photos of him, but maybe they're not recent.
I've got photos of me on the internet, and I've not got any from the last
5 years.
5 years.
No.
So I could catfish anybody. On Friday, Tyrone talks Fizz down from being too harsh on Hope because she's got a messy room because she's been abused.
Yes.
Beth and Kirk are still arguing.
Oh, bless you.
About this slap at work. You've moved it so I can't read it.
Sorry.
And Marco's letters. And Fizz and Beth are bickering as well, and Sarah's going, shut up, let's get on with work.
There's an awful lot of bickering.
Kirk's going, I'm going to move out, but then they make up again, and then Kirk goes to the loo, and Beth's still looking at pictures of Marco, and Glenda's like, hey, what's this? So, back at work. Where's the bit that you took out?
Oh yeah, it's probably here, isn't it?
So.
I'm just going to Control and V. Oh no. Sorry, there we go. Later on, Kirk joins her in the break area.
Okay, yeah, Kirk wants to make up, and this is when she gets her friend connect message to accept Marco's. Marco accepts her friend proposal, and she's hooray. And then they're all happy together, and then
go back together.
Sam
again,
and Hope
hooray.
come back from school, and he wants to hang around with her, so they go to the cafe and have milkshakes. And then Sam says to Hope, are we girlfriend and boyfriend?
Yeah, because they're holding hands, aren't they?
I know.
That was quite sweet.
And they say to Summer, are we going out with each other? And she's like, yeah, I guess so, if you like each other.
I can't think of anyone worse to ask for relationship advice on, to be honest.
Yeah, so...
Like, who would you ask on the street?
Glenda.
I don't know.
Glenda go, oh yeah, get in there, my son. Anyway, so she says, yeah, and then they say, what do we do now? And she says, don't ask me. That's another storyline completely. Back at home, well, they're officially dating. Back at home, Fizz says...
They put an announcement in the Weatherfield Gazette.
That's what they used to do. Do you remember we were watching old episodes of Corrie, and Elsie Tanner's put a notice in the newspaper telling everyone to stop talking about her behind her back, otherwise she's going to take them to court.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. This is what people used to have to resort to before Facebook.
Yeah.
So, Hope's so happy that she tidies her room, and Fizz congratulates her. Back in the
Gold
pub,
star.
Beth tells...
Glenda. She's going to meet up with Marco.
Okay, to get...
I've written Miley here. That would be
sorry.
a bit of a twist.
Beth admits she's going to meet up with
Miley
to get her records back. And Miley's like, look, I'm sorry I took them. I was a baby. I didn't know. So,
yeah,
Beth tells
Marco,
Glenda...
We've kind of... I've missed some...
Listen.
Yes.
Beth tells Glenda, Marco's got some of my old records. So I'm going to go and meet up with him to get them back. And Glenda says, you're playing a dangerous game. And that's the end of that story. Yes, that was the not the most uninspiring, to be honest.
It was, but I think it was because it's a Beth and Kirk storyline, and this kind of, when I look back at the week in general and think, well, was it a good one or not? The fact that but Beth and Kirk were the lead players in a storyline, and Faye was the lead player in another storyline. It's not going to come out smelling of roses, really. I don't think that they are. They there's no think about it. They're not going to split up Beth and Kirk, are they?
Well, there's
not
no
for
point.
good.
Then they also, I mean, I know
Coronation Street are invested in these two, and they like to push them away and put them in a box and put them there for years so they don't appear on screen. So it's very handy that they're together. So yes, maybe they will split up temporarily, and even they got together in today's episode, and I've got a feeling that Beth's going to go and see Marco, and Kurt's going to find out and dump her again. But they'll be back together again, don't you think?
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying? I know I interrupted you. Well, no, go on, tell me.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you a question. Tell me what you thought about this storyline.
I mean, Beth and Kirk are not my favourite couple, but I think we always overlook them when we talk about long-standing couples on the street.
They have been going together, going steady for a long time now. And
although they feel odd together, I don't think they work with anyone else.
Well, I mean, I quite enjoyed Kirk and Fizz together back in the day, but that was more when it was the old
Fizz
brash
and Tyrone
kind of Fizz.
and Kirk and Fizz, can you?
No, I know. I'm happy for them to stay together. You're right, only because there's nobody else, and because we haven't even seen their flat. They're like Brian and Kathy, aren't they? That they will
very weird.
Put them, give them a little bit to do for a bit, and then
why can't they have a flat?
Well, they've got one. They just can't move. They're not. The show's not invested enough in them as a couple,
which is weird.
But this
which
is why
weird because they had a massive wedding. A big deal wedding.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that do like them, but this is why I'm not particularly fussed about the whole were they split up, because I'm not invested in them as a couple. This is part of the problem as well that maybe Daniel and Daisy have got, because we're supposed to be with that storyline now thinking, oh no, are they not going to get married? But I think that if they'd have done more to have, and I think they do have a good relationship, but I think if they'd just done a little bit more to show the wooing and the romance and the aren't they absolutely perfect for each other with Daniel and Daisy, we'd be feeling a bit more worried about the prospect of them not getting married.
Sit there and no, you can't sit there and say they're a great couple and then halfway through someone else's storyline go, oh, they're not that great.
No, I think they are a good couple, but I do think that they could have done more.
You're confusing your.
No, I think they could have done more to solidify them and show. Just have a normal relationship before let's split them up again.
I don't think there's any such thing on Coronation Street.
I don't know.
And I think
you think I'm
let's move on. I can't be bothered.
I can't. That was. It's not. The slap. Well, I'm not. I'm talking. Sorry, it's a podcast.
You're talking so much. I can't even think of what I don't.
I was a little bit surprised just with this storyline that Beth admitted to the slap quite so quickly. Were you?
No.
No. Well, I'm not bothered. Oh no, okay, I'm not bothered. Is it?
I don't care about that anymore.
Well, I think Coronation Street has also moved on from the slap, and now it's just. I think that Kirk was overreacting a little bit.
It wasn't. The thing about it that annoys me a little bit is that it wasn't a story about, oh, should you hit kids or not? Because we all have to say, oh no, you should never ever hit kids.
No, that was more a catalyst for Beth and Kirk splitting.
It would have been a quite interesting story to have had, to have had people to different generations going, my God, we used to get hit all the time, and I think it was great.
They did have a little bit of that, but that wasn't. You're right.
For some reason, Kirk was just so morally opposed to the idea that she hit Hope. I don't understand why he went to the extent of I'm not even going to sleep in the same room as you.
We're supposed to be
he was more upset about it than it feels like Fizz and Tyrone were.
We're supposed to be so convinced that he's utterly devoted to her.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and and he's so he's thick, but he knows that he loves Beth. And yes, what she did was wrong. But
I know, but
now he's taken the moral high ground, and he's literally saying, "Oh, now I'm going to move out."
I
don't believe that this incident would split them up.
I don't think it would do. He's the same generation as us, right? Isn't he? are we all just going to pretend that it was always bad to like have a parental figure? I know she's not really a parental figure, but to have kids get hit by adults.
There's an awful lot of people our age, and therefore Kirk's age, that would say didn't do me any harm.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's
right.
Listen, will you let me speak? I'm not saying I don't agree with it, but I'm just saying it feels like we're all pretending that it was always abominable and that nobody would ever do such a heinous thing. I don't believe that for a minute, to the extent that the way Kirk reacted makes any sense.
No.
Given the context. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's wrong to react like that. I'm just saying, a man his age, I can't see how it would get to the stage where he doesn't even want to sleep in the same room as his wife.
I suppose it's also the fact that she lied about it and sometimes she tried to cover it up.
I just want to say, sometimes I feel like as a society, when we've decided something is wrong, we all act like nobody was ever doing it, and all the people that were like, oh, I think we should be able to. They've all gone. Where are they? They're all pretending they never had that opinion.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Can we not just say that used to be the thing that we all agreed was right, and now we don't? It's like everybody's like got amnesia or something.
No, I know. I completely agree.
You watch an episode of Coronation Street that's 20 years old, you'll have kids being bloody booted up the bum, left, right, and centre, impaled on spikes outside the corner shop for shoplifting.
Yeah, I know.
It is a big deal now.
Yeah.
But not to that extent.
No, I think
that's why I'm annoyed because it's a manufactured drama to make Beth and Kirk break up for a bit. But it could have been. My point is, it could have been an actual discussion.
Yeah.
But I guess some things are issues and some things aren't.
And also, Marco suddenly appearing on the radar is also fairly manufactured. I mean, I couldn't believe that Beth, her husband, and I know they're not properly married. No, maybe they did. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Her husband has left her, and she's there that evening mooning over this ex-lover. She should be heartbroken and terrified that this relationship that she's been in for the past however many years is potentially over. And what's she doing? Just saying, oh yeah, Marco, he's a bit fit, isn't she? This feels
very out of character for Beth.
It really does, because, yeah, it feels out of character for both of them. He wouldn't leave her over this. She would not say, oh, well, at least I've got my old boyfriend that I can go back to. No. I just don't. I don't believe it. It doesn't feel right for the characters. Not wishing
to be rude to Kirk, but I don't feel as though Beth feels like the sort of person who primarily goes for someone according to their look.
No, absolutely not. You're right. That was one of the main things that didn't work for me.
It feels like her main attraction is that he's dead fit. Unless this is just building up to, like I said, a joke where it turns out he looks like Johnny Vegas now.
She's acting like she's just moved on. She's accepted. Well, that's over. Time to
sow my wild oats somewhere
out on the town tonight. And
all right, okay, we're talking too much about this now. It's boring.
Well, I'm just trying to put off putting about the next story, which I can't say is get any better. The Jackson storyline, which reared its head again on Wednesday, where Faye is still feeling a bit rubbish about the whole Hodges are back in the country. Should she see Miley again? Does she want her kid as part of her life? She's trying to hide it from everyone. She doesn't want to talk to Tim about it because she knows what he'll say. Doesn't want to talk about it to Craig because he's just boring. And so Sally's her little confidant about this. She just wants to put this all behind her.
Tim is about 5 minutes away from dressing up a la Norris Cole in a Rights for Granddads.
She's going to be dressed up for Batgirl, is she? Yeah.
No, Tim.
Oh, Tim is, yeah.
Tim is the grandfather. Yes,
Tim is. You're right. Tim is Miley's granddad, isn't it? Do you remember when Miley was born? And that was like right as we were right primed him hating back then. But I remember him having little Miley in his arms, and he was so utterly besotted. Where Faye was like, I'm not connecting with this. Tim was such a devoted grandchild to Miley for those weeks that they were together, And so his reaction today when he saw the picture of this is what she looks like now, and there's the possibility of connecting with her, I think that was
Poor
very
guy.
much in character with him.
But you know, I
But-
think it's better if we keep Miley away from him because he is such an awful human.
But Wednesday's episode is just him he was going to go clubbing with Faye, but she decides to go out with Tim instead.
What?
And no, so she decides to go out with Craig instead, doesn't she?
You've
And
also
then
written about a guy called Tom in here.
I
as
know
well.
that's autocorrect probably.
You need to learn shorthand.
Faye is feeling guilty about keeping it a secret from Tim and Craig, but well, maybe it's easiest. And then Friday they have a visit, do Sally and Tim by Jackson. And
Hello,
it's me. I am Jackson.
You probably don't recognise me
I have got a different actor now.
because I'm big man.
Like,
sorry, but he didn't
didn't-
look even remotely like.
he didn't look anything like the right
But
age.
it's not just that. He doesn't feel like he fits with Faye at all. Like, do you think these people were ever the same age or anything?
That's the problem, I think.
I don't
This
know
is
how
a
old
different.
this guy is.
No,
And
I've got no
and the
idea.
thing is
Maybe he
about
really is the
young-
right age, but he doesn't look it.
Thing is about these young people is that they're all
Can never
different.
tell these
They're all
days.
different types of them, aren't there? And some
Yeah.
of them seem to look like big grown-up people far sooner than you would expect. And maybe also there's a bit of us looking at Faye going, she's just like, what's she? 12?
I think that's the thing. I really do
I
think that
don't
when we
think
look
she's
at Faye,
I
I'm
don't
not
see-
accepting that she's as old as she is.
I don't think she's a woman. I think she's a girl.
I know she's kind of stopped aging when she was about
How old is
17
she?
in my eyes.
Don't tell me she's 20 something.
She could well be.
Oh
But
no,
yeah,
see.
she came into the show as like a little girl, and we've seen her grow up to be a teenager. I mean, the problem is with Faye. I mean, it's not really a problem for me. I don't mind. Is she's not been in the show much, and she's gone long stretches of time without appearing. So in my head, I think that she's just the age as she was when she was more of a regular character.
The actress is 21.
Ellie Leach is 21, is she? Yeah, so I mean, Faye must be around about the same age. But yeah, this guy that they've got playing Jackson, he looks like he's 30 or something.
I know. He is a big man.
Yeah. He was last in it in 2017 when he got beaten up by Seb, and that's why Seb went to prison for a little bit.
I can't imagine Seb having a go at this guy, can you?
No. So anyway, he tells Tim and Sally, I've been trying to text Faye about Miley, but she's not been answering.
When he was in it before, he was a little gangly youth. Look at him with his little lovely cheekbones.
As little
And
as
his
I'm
hair.
really enjoying this story, I am
Look
having...
at that. He doesn't look anything like it. He is a proper big man.
I think he needs some
He
ID.
looks like dude.
Yeah.
He's got a big manly face.
I think that when he came up to the door and said, hello, I'm Jackson, you might not remember me, they should have had Sally going, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Have you got some ulterior motive here? I'd want to see some ID
Yeah.
before letting him into my house and offering him a cup of tea. He'd have been away with her fine china if she had her back turned, I think. Anyway.
Well, I tell you, I hope that the actor who's playing this, he's called Joseph William Evans. I hope that he feels sufficiently
We're saying he looks very
flattered by
mature.
him by saying he's a big man.
So he's saying Faye's not got in touch, and Tim's saying, oh well, I'm sure she'll be thrilled to hear, maybe it's her old number, she's gonna love seeing you again and seeing Miley again. Sally's there looking awkward because she obviously knows the truth that Faye has got no intention of any kind of family reunion here. And then when Jackson leaves, this is when Sally tells Tim, well, I've been keeping this secret from you. And then we have just like the Daniel and Daisy storyline, just like the Kirk and Beth storyline, we're treated to some other scenes of marital upset with Tim's thinking, oh, I wish that Sally hadn't kept that secret from me. And even a lovely butty that she brings him isn't enough to put a smile on his face. So
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, you know me. You might know.
I do know you.
I don't like Tim that much, but this isn't just a question of not telling him that an ex-boyfriend's knocked on the door, is it? This is his bloomin' grandchild.
I don't think...
And let's not forget too that Tim knows that Faye can't have children.
Yeah.
his is his only chance, maybe, for him to have a relationship with his biological grandchild.
It is, but
And,
I think
and
that
Sally's
if Sally,
not telling him about it. I know, I agree.
I think that she shouldn't have betrayed her confidence.
No, I agree with that, but Tim still is justified with feeling.
Yeah, he's
whatever he
justifiably
does.
miffed.
But he's also, like the worst human being that ever lived.
No, he's not.
Worse
He's
than
fine.
Stalin.
He's fine.
If he'd been in charge of Russia, imagine.
Tim asks Faye about this Jackson thing later, and she's just doubles down on the fact that she is not interested in a relationship with Miley. I just
listen.
What?
I empathise with this storyline. She's like, I do want to see her, but also I'm worried I'm going to confuse her. I don't want to come into her life as a jailbird scally, and she feels like she's not good enough.
Yeah.
And she's scared too of these emotions being ripped out of her. She's trying to suppress these thoughts she's having about not being able to have children, because it's all very well to decide, oh, I don't know if I want them, or maybe I don't want them. But if you get told you're not having any, that's a completely different conversation. And now to confront the fact that she does have a child already, and it's just going to make her feel like she's missed out on all those years.
Yeah.
That she'll never get back. I can see why she's trying to push her feelings down.
Tell you what, I'm not looking forward to the scene where Craig finds out about this, because it's just going to be the same thing again, isn't it? Like, oh, I can't believe you didn't tell me. If you're such a great copper, Craig, you should have found out yourself, shouldn't you?
Shouldn't have spent all his time down the Gregory Pope shop looking for crutches.
Exactly. Anyway, so then we have a scene, and actually, I'm going to say that this is right up there with scenes of the week. Ken and his eagle spotting with Bertie.
I was a bit tired and confused earlier, and I was like, Ken's found a child. Is that Miley?
No.
Miley's a girl, though.
It's his grandson. That was, I mean, the purpose of the scene was for Tim to say, oh, I'm a granddad too. I wish I could go bird spotting with Aunt Miley or do something sweet. But I thought that it was really lovely. William Roach had a few scenes this week. He had the stuff with walking to the pub with Daniel. But this was just great. It was really nicely written. He interacted beautifully with this little kid. It was really cute. A little Bertie there.
How many eagles
who is a bit of a cutie with his binoculars around his neck. And
little nerd.
It was just really, really sweet. So I don't blame Tim for having his cockles warmed by that.
I've always said Miley. I would love to be a grandparent. I would absolutely love it.
You have always said that.
That was my ambition in life.
Get a nice little kid to have a relationship with.
Send him
none
home.
of the main responsibility.
Go back home, child.
Anyway, back at home, speaking of home, Sally notices that Tim is looking very shifty, and he admits that he's going to have a secret meeting with Jackson and Miley tomorrow. And she's not sure if he can keep that a secret from Faye.
She or he?
She just doesn't think it's going to stay a secret, especially because, it's Faye's birthday, and that kind of juxtaposition is exactly what makes Coronation Street tick.
What a stupid div you are. Why would you go to have a secret liaison with your daughter's child that she doesn't want anything to do with on her birthday?
Because he really wants to see her.
Just the worst human.
Okay,
you've written, your only note there was Ken's eagle watching scene.
That was nice.
I know. What is it that you're not clicking with here? Is it the characters or the story?
It's funny because...
Is it because you don't like Faye?
Yeah, but I used to like Faye.
God, it was funny.
Like, I used to be a major, big Faye defender, and everybody else was like, Faye's really dull. But then she went away for a bit, and we hardly saw her. And when she came back, I'm like, no, it's gone. My love for this character hasn't continued. I've actually got some quite fond memories of the Faye pregnancy storyline and how sweet it was when her and Craig were together. But then I'm thinking, that makes me sad, because I think, oh, Craig, I used to like him a lot more back in the day. And just this storyline being brought up is partly reminding me that
of what you've lost.
Of what I've lost, the lovely relationship between young Craig and Faye and what we've got now. And also, I'm also thinking, oh, there's also that HRT stuff with Faye that didn't click with me last year. I just don't think that Faye is a necessary character on the street in any way, shape or form.
Interesting.
Is it clicking with you a bit?
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
And
Well, just the thing about kids and not being able to have kids, and you and like, what would you do if you had, you know my secret child I've got. I really relate in that way. I just felt maybe it's.
yeah.
Is it because you think, oh, you never? I'm not gonna ever worry about menopause, so I don't care.
No, I don't. I don't think it's storyline related. I think it's the characters. I think it's the potential that there's going to
'Cause,
be
you know,
more Craig scenes, which I'm not fussed by.
The thing about it is that anybody can empathise with any story or any situation on Coronation Street. It's one of the strengths of soaps is that you get to see lots of different areas of life and things that you never would have experienced and things. But also, it does hit different when it's something that could or did happen to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it is interesting. There's another layer there that you're not. But it doesn't bother you.
Doesn't bother me.
And what about your
especially
secret grandchild?
Especially when there are other storylines that I would have preferred to have got more screen time. I complained at the beginning of the episode and then constantly throughout that the Amy and Aaron storyline didn't get the amount of screen time as I think it deserved. And then when something like this comes along and I'm thinking, just put the other one on. Put the thing on that I want to see.
It's all very well complaining about how much screen time a story gets, but sometimes it needs breathing room.
No, I know. Coronation Street know what they're doing.
No, I'm not saying that.
Right, there was a tiny bit of the Stephen storyline there this week, wasn't there?
Can I do it? Is it my go?
Trip? It is your turn.
On Monday, Elaine breaks the news to Tim that she's thinking of getting a flat with Stephen, and he's like, what?
The actual engagement is still a secret, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Later on, Tim and Sally are talking about this, and Tim's like, this guy, I think I need to protect him.
Protect him from her nagging.
And Sally says, you're overreacting. Stephen seems really nice. But obviously Tim's got this, Elaine's got a history of being the target of an abusive man, and Tim's feeling overprotective because it is really weird and it's come out of nowhere. And honestly, it's more weird that they're buying a flat together and they're not going out with each other than it is that they are engaged and buying a flat together. I think if that was me, I'd also be worried. Jenny is getting flustered when she hears Tim talking to Elaine about the fact that Stephen and Elaine are moving in together.
Yeah, she's still got a bit of a torch with that, and Stephen,
she heads Jenny. Back to the bar, and this is when Stephen says to Tim that Elaine means the world to him. And then later on, Tim apologises to Stephen for being a bit harsh, and Stephen says, I understand. And he says they're going to go ahead and buy this flat. When Tim goes, Stephen and Elaine are like, let's not tell anybody that we're engaged yet. And then Carla's being an arse again to Stephen, which then prompts him to call Rufus up saying he wants another trip to the pharmacy. So he's obviously going to try to get some more. Get
a little bit more LSD, or maybe he'll switch it up a little bit. And
he's like, what else you got?
Yeah, bit mushrooms.
I don't know drugs.
I don't know. No, that's about as far as I can get. But yeah, that's completely just stopped dead, didn't it? That storyline. At least the Aaron and Amy storyline had a few scenes, but there was no more Stephen for the rest of the week. And I hope he comes back soon. So that is this week's Street Talk. That is what happened on Coronation Street this week. I did enjoy talking about that with you.
I enjoy talking about it.
I think weighing everything up, it's not going to be scoring highly. I think I know what I'm going to give it. Do you want to give your score? I'm
going to give it 3.
3 what?
3 planets in order of size.
Mass, technically. I'm going to give it 2.5 missing toys in the cereal box out of 5 for me. It was just it was on.
Just imagine.
There were some good bits, but there wasn't anything where it's like saying, oh yes, it's a scene from that storyline, or oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened, or and the things that were supposed to hit like that, like Justin popping in through the back of number 1, for me it didn't work. I'm glad for other people it did, but yeah, not my cup of tea this week, unfortunately.
Who's your character of the week?
I don't know.
Mine's Marco.
No, he's not Marco. Marco was not in it. He's not a character of the week.
Jackson.
No, sensible answers only.
That's not this podcast.
I mean,
Is it Daisy?
Is it Daisy or Justin? Justin is,
Justin's...
consistently entertaining in a creepy sort of way. I mean,
he's just relentless.
I mean, I think that Ken's got a fair shout, despite not being in very many scenes.
Guest
what
starring
he was,
Ken
it was a
Marley.
bit of a guest star in Ken this week, wasn't it?
I'm gonna give it to
tricky
Daisy because she is so pretty.
You're gonna give it to Daisy, are you?
I'm scared. Poor Daisy. She only wants a pretty dress.
There just isn't very much that really properly stands out for me this week, which means that it may well be a default to Daisy as well, I think. Or should I have it as Amy? I might. Sorry if I'm boring you with that. No,
You need to pick a person.
I'm gonna go Amy this week.
Yeah.
Because I was down on the Stalker storyline a little bit, and I liked what at least I saw of the consent storyline at the beginning. So I feel bad for her, and I hope that she stands up to Aaron soon.
I just want that Aaron to realise what he's done and realise that he's not the perfect great guy that he thinks he is.
Yeah. I think I'm mostly not necessarily because of any actions the character did for Amy, but for the performance and for the sympathy. And I did have that with Daisy as well, but I've given Daisy plenty of character of the weeks recently.
Good.
So Amy is the one. Amy is the one, and that is it.